Hello and welcome back to the Solland Uprising Mighty Empires campaign. I am Garion Reaver and this is the third and final battle of round 5 of the campaign. We are returning to Pfeildorf to find out what happens with the Skaven occupation. A historic thing has happened here because Solland and Wissenland are working together to drive out the Skaven occupiers. In case you were unaware, Pfeildorf, the city in which this takes place, was the capital of Solland back before it was consumed by Wissenland, so both forces of the Empire do have a vested interest in seeing it survive. And that is what is at stake here, so before I go through the armies, I just want to quickly talk about the scenario and the map. This is a ruined part of Pfeildorf. As you can see, there is only one building left standing, the rest are ruins. I'll talk more about the terrain itself in a second, but the stakes of this battle are, in this building is a magical anomaly that the Skaven have built. This building is effectively a watchtower. This is using the watchtower scenario, and a Skaven unit will begin occupying the center building. As per the watchtower scenario, this game has a random length. Starting from turn 4, a dice is rolled at the end of each game turn. If the total is 10 or higher, then the battle ends immediately. The reason for this is the Skaven have been using their time to produce a warpstone-powered bomb. It is in this building in the center, and the countdown of the random game length is about how long it takes them to finish the bomb. Because when the game ends, the Skaven who are building the bomb in the fortified basement of this building will emerge and discover who is currently controlling the building. And this is determined by either the garrisoned unit or the closest unit, if it is ungarrisoned, who is not fleeing at the end of the battle. If that unit is on the Wissenland Solland side, they will kill the Skaven who are building the bomb and safely dismantle it. However, if it is the Skaven, then they will begin the actual detonation. This will give time for all the characters to get to a safe distance on both sides, because the Skaven don't want to get blown up. But if the Skaven win this, then Pfeildorf will be removed from the campaign map. The city will effectively be destroyed. So that is what is at stake. As befits a climactic battle like this, we have got 2,550 points of Skaven. This is perhaps the biggest Skaven army I have ever fielded. And as befits that, it is being led by the Grey Seer known as the Outsider, who is one of the 3 main leaders of Clan Deathtoll. He is mounted atop a Screaming Bell, which is my single favourite Warhammer model in the entire game. I love it. He is supported by the returning chieftain Vitan and the returning master molder Muta Slack, one of the 5 main leaders of Clan Deathtoll. And then there are 2 warlock engineers, Zocket and Sneaky Rat. Zocket has magic, but Sneaky Rat does not. He is just equipped with a magic item. And here is the rest of the force, an absolutely colossal unit of 50 storm vermin in the center pushing the Screaming Bell. There is also a massive unit of 45 clan rats, a couple of units of slaves, a couple of units of gutter runners, rat ogres, Jezzails, the Hellpit Abomination who didn't die in the previous one, and a Plague Claw catapult. I'm expecting the centre of this army to be completely unshiftable. And then on the other side you can see that there is some colour coding going on, and that's because someone pointed out in the comments that when you have Empire versus Empire it is quite difficult to tell which is which. So in light of that, I have decided to give this a go as a way of differentiating different armies. So let me know what you think. The Skaven are green, as you noticed, and these are red for Wissenland and yellow for Solland. So let me know what you think of this as a system. Wissenland is contributing 1,050 points, whereas Solland has 1,550 points, for a total of 2,600. Wissenland's force is being led by the returning captain Helmut the Lucky, who has recovered from his injuries, and supported by the captain Eisenbert Hinrich. And then we have the battle wizard Horst Thoma, who of course was here when the Skaven first captured the city, and his father died fighting them. So he is now bitter and looking for revenge. Here is the Wissenland force. It is halberdiers and greatswords with a unit of handgunners and a Hellblaster volley gun, because there really isn't much more you can fit into a size 1,000 point army. And then on the Solland side, you'll notice that these are not humans, because Caster is here, Caster von Braun, the leader of the Solland faction, as well as his closest advisor, Oswald Werner. When Caster heard that Pfeildorf was in trouble, he immediately marched out himself. However, he is not here on his own. He has been spending his time recruiting mercenaries and has come in with Ogre Kingdom's mercenaries. Here is their force, a unit of Iron Guts, which are the elite ogres, ordinary ogre bulls, 2 units of lead belchers, which are range units, and the Iron Blaster, which is a giant cannon. This is quite a hard-hitting force, but we will see how they fare against the Skaven. To remind you how team battles work, although they are on the same side, they do not count as friendly units for the purposes of spells and the like. A faction can only use their own general and/or battle standard bearer for leadership and the like, so Caster cannot inspire the Wissenland troops, and the ogres cannot benefit from the battle standard bearer. They share the same power and dispel dice, but apart from that are basically one army. And the board. As I mentioned, there is a magical anomaly in the middle, and this is protected by various warpstone wards and the like. So the white circle, anything within that circle, including the building itself, has 2 magic resistance, which means +2 to ward saves against magic. The building and all the ruins can be occupied. However, the ruins, because they are ruined, only provide soft cover instead of hard, and have 10 fire points. So up to 10 models can shoot, whereas normally it's 5 per floor. The building in the center is a 1-story building, so only 5 can shoot out of it, but is a hard cover, etc. First we roll to determine board edge. Not that it makes a great deal of difference. It's a draw. Red is Skaven. Reroll. And it is the Skaven who pick. So they will, like it really doesn't matter, it is mostly a symmetrical board. I guess for convenience they'll go with this side then. And unlike normal, you don't roll off to see who deploys first. So 1 unit will be deployed within the building in the center. It is these Skaven slaves. And the other side deploys next. Spells. Zocket is using the Law of Ruin, as that is the only one he can use. However, the Outsider is a Grey Seer, so therefore can use both Ruin and Plague, and they can mix and match. So Zocket is a level 2 wizard, the Outsider is a level 4. As I mention every time, I'm using a slightly homebrewed version of these 2 laws of magic, mostly created by, I believe, the Warhammer Armies project, with some tweaks. I'll do Zocket first, so he's 2nd level. Death Frenzy. I don't think I want that one. That doesn't really fit the defensive build I'm going for here, so I will swap that for Warp Lightning. And his 2nd spell is Death Frenzy. I did shuffle that, but I guess I'm stuck with it. I think I'll start off with a Plague spell for the Outsider, Vermintide. That's probably not bad against the Empire, but then again, they've got ogres, so yeah. Alright, I'm going to swap that one for Pestilent Breath, which is the signature spell for the Plague, because he's going to be in combat. His 2nd spell is Plague. Perfect. Yeah, I'm happy with Plague. I think a 3rd one from Plague, Cloud of Corruption. I don't really have a choice about that one, so I'm going to be stuck with it. And then I think his 4th spell will be from Ruin. Scorch. Yeah, I'll take Scorch. Horst is a 2nd level fire wizard, so his first one, Flaming Sword of Ruin. Yeah, I think that served me well last time. And the 2nd one is Fulminating Flame Cage. That is pretty good because that works very well on hordes, so I will take those 2. Oswald is a 4th level Law of Heavens. So his first one, Curse of the Midnight Wind. I don't think that's particularly useful, if I'm honest. That said, I think it's more useful than Ice Shard Blizzard in this case, so I will take Curse of the Midnight Wind. And his 2nd spell is Wind Blast. Yeah, that could help with moving stuff away from the center. 3rd spell is Chain Lightning, definitely taking that one. And Oswald's 4th spell is Harmonic Convergence. Yeah, I'll take that. Back to deployment, we go on with the Alliance side. The Greatswords are going to go here because I think they're the best bet at taking out the Storm Vermin. Maybe with the Ogres as well. Speaking of which, the Outsiders unit is going to go straight down the middle here, and as you can see it has an absolutely colossal range because it is a large target general, so it's got like an 18-inch range. That is higher than 18 inches. Yeah, I see what happened here. The model wasn't the right size, so I scaled it up, and it scaled up the thing as well. It should be that size. Not the circle, but the little dot. Yeah, that's correct. Ooh, glad I caught that. Anyway, that goes there. Caster wants to get his people inside that building, so we're going to have the ogres there, ready to charge straight at the building. Oh, I forgot to deploy the warp fire thrower. That's going to go right there. I'm expecting the Skaven slaves holding this to not hold it for long, so we've got these clan rats ready to move in as well. As much as Wissenland do not want to let the ogres occupy the building, they don't particularly want to trust Caster or, frankly, ogres with the occupation. But they are going to place their halberdiers here and the detachment right on this flank. Because these buildings can be occupied, the Skaven slaves are going to go here ready to move straight into it, because although it is slightly in their deployment zone, I'm going to say it doesn't count as in it enough. Caster and the Iron Guts are the hardest hitting unit on this side, so I'm going to put them here and move it around so Caster is on that side. We're sort of running out of space, aren't we? The Rat Ogres, along with Muta Slack, are going over here. I think one unit of Lead Belchers is going to do what the Skaven slaves are and prepare to move straight in to occupy this ruin. Both units of Gutter Runners are going to do Sneaky Infiltrators, which means they don't deploy at the start of the battle and instead come on a dice roll starting from turn 2. The Jezzails are also going to move into a building, so they're going to start right behind here. The Lead Belchers are probably going to move into this building as well. That seems like a good bet for now. The Hellpit Abomination, I think, is just going to get shot if it deploys on this edge, especially with the Lead Belchers there. So I think that's actually going to go right in the middle, and I'm going to try and sort of get it ahead of the main force. Well, that leaves just War Machines and characters. So the War Machines deploy as one. The Hellblaster Volley Gun, where could that go? It's only got a range of 24, so I reckon that can slip in here and have the crew right behind. And the Iron Blaster, this doesn't have a particularly long range either. 36, I reckon that can go there, because that will have quite a commanding view, at least over this side. The Plagueclaw Catapult is the penultimate thing on this side, and that has quite a high profile, so that can go basically anywhere and still be in range and have sight for most of the battle. So I think I'll put that here, just behind everything else, because they also have Frenzy, so I really don't want them in a position where they can charge. And then finally, the two wizards, Oswald and Horst. I didn't really leave any space for them, did I? So I guess Oswald is going to go there, and Horst is going to go here. They're going to stick near their own people. Actually, Oswald is going to go directly behind, because the thing with both Caster and Oswald is they cannot claim "Look out, sir" among ogres. They're just too easy to pick out. And then the final thing on the Skaven side is Zocket. What does he have? Warp Lightning and Death Frenzy. Okay, I guess I'll put him over here, where he can see, but isn't in imminent danger. That was quite close, but the Skaven did finish deploying second, so the Alliance of the Empire wins, and they get +1 to this roll, which they didn't need. So they will choose to go first. They want to claim this as quickly as possible. Now, I've changed my mind. They're going to go second, the Alliance, because the objective is occupying the building, and therefore you want to be the last person to move. So Deathtoll Turn 1. First of all, the Skaven slaves are occupying this ruin. Sorry, before that, the Hellpit Abomination has compulsory movement, so has to go first. It has 3d6 random movement, total of 12. So pivot. Oh, sorry, I've got it set to 90-degree turn. So it's going to go 12 inches this way, right alongside that, ready to cause some havoc, basically next turn. However, I've just realised it is charging the Hellblaster Volley Gun. Damn. The Rogers are moving 6 inches up the flank and are then going to march. 10 there. And no, there's going to go another 2 as well. So they're aiming to assault this building if that gets occupied. Jezzails are moving into this ruin. This unit is pushing forward 5 inches. They don't really want to go much further forward than that, because they're just going to go into easier getting shot range. They're already in getting shot range. Screw it. Yeah, they want to block it off, so they're going to move as close up behind the abomination as they can. These clan rats are moving up 4 inches, then pivoting 1, 2, they're marching, so 2, 3. They probably can't pivot 3 because of the size of the unit. So with the pivoting, that's 6, and then another 3 inches there. They can move past this building, but again, it's doing the weird footprint thing it did in the previous Pfeildorf battle. Warp Fire Thrower moving up alongside, marching as well because it's a move or fire. Same on this side. Zocket is moving up closer to the unit so that it can stay safe. Magic, 9. Skaven channel, 1. Empire channel, none. And now we do the thing that the Screaming Bell does. The thing for which Clan Deathtoll was named. We ring the bell! What we do is, after generating power dice, the Skaven can ring the bell. And I choose how many dice to roll. The first time I do it, only a single dice can be rolled, but after that it can be up to 3. So I will do it on 1, the one I can. 6. Emboldened, all friendly Skaven within 24 inches of the bell can reroll failed leadership until the end of the turn. So there's only the end of my turn, so that's basically not going to do anything. And pretty much the only spell I can do at this point is an Upcast Scorch. Well, Scorch in general. But yeah, I'm going to... the outside is going to do Upcast Scorch to place a large template anywhere within 24 inches. 6 dice, he has a +4 because of his level, and it's immediately irresistible. So I place this anywhere within 24 inches. I think it's going to go right in the middle of these great swords, like so. And then it scatters 2d6 inches. So it scatters 6 inches that way. That may take it off the unit entirely. Nearly. Yeah, about there, isn't it? So remember, the crew are irrelevant, so it literally just hits 1 greatsword. Bloody hell. Just the 1 hit then. Wound does still get a decent armor save, which it passes. So that spell that we just immediately got an irresistible force on and a miscast did nothing. Right, this could be really, really, really bad. 6. Calamitous Detonation. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Center the small round template over the wizard, and they suffer a strength 10 hit. So the thing is, actually, with the size of the thing, that's only... Is that even them? I honestly don't know if that's even like... Because that's supposed to be like right in the center. I kind of think that's not hitting either of them. Like, it's very hard to tell because, you know, that's like right in the bloody way. Yeah, I think that the Screaming Bell is so large that it just absorbs the hit entirely. So, yeah, strength 10 hit on the Screaming Bell. Even with the bell's high toughness, that is a wound. They do, however, have a 4+ ward save for being, you know, magical doom bell, and it saves, so no effect whatsoever. I love the Screaming Bell, it's so cool. And that is actually it for magic, because Zocket's out of range with the one spell he'd want to cast, and the outsider's out of range with all of the rest of his spells. Shooting. The garrisoned unit has slings. In fact, both Skaven slave units do, so they can shoot. They will be at long range, but they are going to go for the greatswords. As a single-story building, only 5 of the slaves can fire, so that is 10 shots because it's a multiple shots 2 weapon. Abysmal chance to hit because it is long range. Actually, it's a 7 to hit, so yeah, they're utterly worthless. 7+ means a 6 and then a 4, so yeah, they get 1 hit. Decent chance to wound, which they do. Decent chance to save, which they don't. Wow, okay. So the Skaven slaves actually get the first kill of the game. The outsider cast a massive fire blast spell, but it was a rock thrown by a Skaven slave that did it. They are out of range of the other Skaven slaves, so they can't fire. The Jezzails can, however, so they will shoot from here. They're going to go for... I mean, it would be silly not to go for Caster's unit, I think. Oh, my mistake. I did this wrong. Caster wouldn't go there because the footprints don't match. So actually, that should all move over a little. That should all move over a little, I said, because he has to go alongside them. Anyway, Jezzails are going to shoot at this unit, so they're at long range, range of 36, so over long range. Champion, miss. 4 others, 1 hit. And the way this works with the mixed unit is not quite as nasty against the characters as I thought it was. Basically, you assign the hit to a model, and then you have to sort of, within a single load of shooting, you have to assign it to each in turn before you can assign a second. So this is just going to go against a normal Iron Guts. I just realised that the musician was behind. So this is just going to go against an ordinary Iron Gut. And even against an Ogre, it's a 2+ wound. And it goes straight through the armour. So we have our first wound on this side. An ordinary Iron Gut takes 1 of his 3 wounds. The Plague Claw has a range of 60, so he's going to go for the Great Swords as well. That's a bit iffy, so I'm going to move it 1 over to the left. Yep, that's definitely within line of sight. So this uses the large round template, and anything hit suffers a strength 2 hit with no armour. Scatter. 8 inches that way. That is okay. Alright, well, not what I was aiming for, but it hits 3 ogres. Very low chance to wound, but manages to. No armor saves allowed, so yeah, that is 1 wound. And because it is a pile of toxic goo being fired at them, any unit that suffers an unsaved wound from the Plague Claw has to take a panic test. They are outside of the range of Caster, they cannot use helmets, stuff, or the banner, so they're testing on their own leadership of 7, which they pass. And with no combat, we go into Alliance turn 1. Let's see if we are in range to immediately charge. So they are 10 inches away. The ogres have a movement of 6, so they are easily within range to charge. So the ogre bulls are going to charge the magical anomaly. 3. They needed a 4. Alright. Well, the Skaven slaves inside are going to do a stand and shoot at long range. So for this they actually need an 8, which is a 6 followed by a 5+. So 2. Still 1 hit. No wound. As the ogres move 2 inches forwards. Abysmal. I think that's the only charge though. Like, the great swords could charge the Hell Pit Abomination, but I think it's better to shoot it. So let's have the lead belchers move into this cover. These lead belchers move into this cover. The halberdiers are going to march along this flank 8 inches. Can the handgunners see anything to shoot? Technically they can draw line of sight to the building that the Skaven slaves are occupying, so if they can draw line of sight within range to a part of the building, which they can, they count as being able to shoot it, and the Skaven slaves will have soft cover. So yeah, I guess they're gonna stand and shoot that. Great swords are gonna move up a little to keep pace with their ogre bull allies. Caster and the Iron Guts are gonna move up 6 inches. They are now quite a delicious target, but that's sort of the point. Like, they're gonna hold this whole side and distract things while the ogres take the anomaly. The Iron Blaster is going to move up a little. Not much, just up to there. Oswald is going to keep up with his ogres, and Horst is going to keep up with the Great Swords. Magic. 3. Channel Skaven. Channel Alliance. 1. I think Horst will use Fulminating Flame Cage on the Clan Rats. They're within the 24-inch range. He needs an 11 minus his level of 2, so 4 dice to get 9. Oh, he didn't get it. Never mind. And shooting. There's quite a bit of shooting on this side because the ogres can put out a lot of firepower. I actually really, really like the ogres as an army. The lead belchers are carrying basically cannons full of cutlery and bullets and whatever else they can shove into the barrel. And they are immune to the penalties of move and shoot and multiple shots. So although they moved into the building this turn, they can shoot out of it just as well as normal. They're going to shoot at the rat ogres, who are within short range, and they are multiple shots d6. So they're actually 3 lead belchers, a total of 9 shots. Decent chance to hit. 5. 3 wound. Sorry, I rolled to wound, but I should have rolled to see who was hit, because it's a mixed unit. It can hit Muta or the rat ogres. So of the 5 shots, 5 or 6s hit Muta. 1 hits Muta, 4 hit the ogres. So in total we can't have more than 3 wounds, because that's what I got on the first one. Against Muta, that is a wound. And he has no armor that saves against that, so Muta is dead. Seriously? No, he's got 2 wounds. Whew. Okay, yeah, Muta Slack has 2 wounds, so he's down to 1 of 2. And because this is just re-rolling the other thing with 1 fewer, I think it would be fair to sort of say the other 2 wounds hit the ogres of the 3 that I rolled. So 2 take out part of an ogre. Sorry, rat ogre. There are rat ogres and there are non-rat ogres. And the Iron Blaster, I think, is also going to go for the rat ogres. And that is going to fire Grape Shot. And the Iron Blaster fires Massive Grape Shot, which means it fires Grape Shot at strength 10. It has move and fire, so it will still get a -1 to hit, but can fire even though it moved. And you, for Grape Shot, you roll an artillery dice to see how many shots. Oh, a misfire. That's bad. There is the Iron Blaster misfire table. So, roll on that. 5. Lurch. Roll a scatter and turn the Iron Blaster to face, and it may not shoot. Okay. That is so much nicer than that could have been. So just may not fire this turn. As it turns towards the thing it just shot at anyway. Oh, it just sort of rattled a bit. The Hellblaster is going to go for the Abomination, obviously. It is at long range, because it's got a range of 24. But the Hellblaster, you roll 3 artillery to determine the number of shots. Ooh, no misfires. Total of 22 shots. First 11, 4, 10. Pretty decent chance to wound. Only 3. And then it gets a regeneration and passes 2 of them. So after all of that, 22 shots from an incredibly dangerous weapon does 1 wound. And I think the lead belchers are going to go for the storm vermin at short range. 3d6 again. 10. 6 hits. 4 wound. And due to the high strength and armor piercing, that is no armor allowed. So 4 storm vermin are dead. First Skaven casualties. And then the handgunners, these ones can't see, but the rest can hit that at long range. So they are shooting at the Skaven slaves in the ruin. 1. Sorry, they had soft cover, so they actually had a 6+ to hit, so none hit. My mistake. And with no combat, we go into Deathtoll Turn 2. First of all, the Roguers are affected by Frenzy, which means if they may charge, they must charge. And they are easily within charge range of the Lead Belchers in the Ruin. They are also within fairly easy range of these, but they have to charge at the closest one. Unfortunately for the Ogres, Lead Belchers are slow to fire, which means they can never be used for stand and shoot. So this is just going to charge straight in there, and they are now in combat. But I think that is it. Like, I don't really want to charge the Ogres. Then again, I don't want the Ogres to charge me. So maybe... It's 11 inches, so with their movement of 5, they'd need a 6. That might be worth doing just to stop the ogres from charging, because they get something called, Ogre Charge, which was the basis of my Cavalry Impact rule. So basically they get very powerful impact hits despite just being infantry. So it might be an idea to charge them with the clan rats. Yeah, alright, I'll do that then, because I think they are probably going to charge me next turn. So 6... Oh, why do I always roll so miserably for bloody charges? So they just move 2 inches forwards and get stuck on the bloody building. Remove 4.2 from this number because that's how much they went up by. That's not actually how much they've gone. Oh, I broke it. I think that's about where they should be. Just the bloody thing in the way is really irritating, the footprint on these buildings. I don't want to move the warp fire because then it can't fire, same with this one. Oh yeah, I need to do the Hellpit Abomination and its automatic movement, so I'm going to target it at... probably at this building as well, see if we can get rid of those. What are those, halberdiers? Ooh. I don't know how it would fare against greatswords. Yeah, I think the lead belchers, if I can get rid of them, that would be useful. So I'm just going to aim it that way. Again, gets lifted up. Lifted up. And then it... 6 inches, that's not enough to do anything. So yeah, it just goes to there and completely blocks everything. But that does allow this unit to also move forward to there. Magic 11. And now I shall ring the bell with 3 dice instead. So I can roll up to 3, but why not roll 3? 13? A stirring beyond the veil. All enemy units within 24 inches of the bell take D3 strength 4 hits as if from shooting. So, within 24 inches. So, yeah, within 24 inches. That is most of the board. So that is the handgunners, the halberdiers, the lead belchers, the hellblaster, halberdiers, Thorm. Is as if from shooting, so I guess he can take a, what's it called? Look out, sir. The bulls, the iron guts, but not either of these. Wow, that is pretty good. I'd say roll individually because that's how these tend to be, so we'll go left to right. Handgunners. 1. No wound. Halberdiers. 2. No wound. Lead belchers. 3. 1 wound. And at that strength there is no armor save, so 1 wound off a lead belcher. Volley gun. 1. A wound. Wow, okay. And they have no armor, so that's 1 crew dead. Great swords. 3. 2 wound. Both failed armor. Thoma. 1. It hits the unit instead of Thoma. Another wound. Not saved. I don't know if that one, like, logically should hit other things, because, you know, it's not really something that is trying to hit, but, you know, it says distributed as shooting, so I'm just lumping it in, rules as written. Ogre Bulls, 3. 1 wound. Armor failed, so that's 1 off. Oh, Oswald as well. 1. And unlike Thoma, he cannot take a lookout, sir, because the bulls are not the same type as him. So he is hit. Wound. No armor. Oswald loses 1 of his 3 wounds. Iron Guts. 3. 1 wound. Failed save. So this one loses a 2nd wound. That is not bad for just ringing the bell. Oh yeah, Channeling Skaven. Channeling Empire. 1. Let's go with a Warp Lightning from Zocket at the Iron Guts. Normal caster needs a 6, which he gets. Total of 11 with his level. And I think they're going to let that through. So that does D6 hits. 2. 2 wound. No armor. So that is an Iron Guts dead. And 1 more wound taken off. I forgot to roll for how many Warpstone tokens the Outsider begins with. So these are the things that Grey Seers get, which can improve casting, but they start off with D3. So 2. Next, the Outsider is going to cast Plague. And for this, he is going to consume a Warpstone token, so I'm going to use 5 dice plus the token to roll a 6th, because you can't roll more than 6 normally. And he's going to target it at, I think, the Ogre Bulls. So 18 inches, they are just within range. So I have to roll the Warpstone one separately, just in case it backfires. So the first 5, total of 20, and the additional one... Oop, no, I rolled 2, sorry. And the additional one is a 3. 23. Gonna use 6 dice to try and dispel. 23. So you have to beat it to defeat it, so it's not beaten. The spell goes through. Lucky he ate that token then. I realise I should have targeted the greatswords. That would have been much more effective than targeting the ogre bulls, but still. They have a toughness of 4, so all 10 of them roll. 2 fails. I should have rolled the champion separately, but I can't be bothered, so I'm just going to assume. I also don't know how this works, because they're multiple wound models, so like if 2 failed, does that mean 2 come off 1? Or 1 and 1? I don't know. I assume you're not allowed, except in the case of like different types, like the champion. So I'm going to assume that means this guy is dead. He loses his 2 wounds. And now we roll to see if plague continues. It does continue. The casting player can decide to end it or pass it to another target within 12 inches. Oh, also, sorry, I've just noticed they are within range of the magical anomaly, which means they are affected by the magic resistance, so they have a 5+ ward save against those wounds they just took. 1 passes, so actually that ogre is still alive. And that's because the warpstone bomb they have here is distorting the winds of magic around it, and it's just... magic is much, much weaker around this because it's sort of absorbing all of the magic into itself to almost to power the bomb. But yes, I will jump it to the great swords next. And this time I will remember to do separately. So helmet, a champion, and then 25 great swords. Helmet, fails. Champion, fails. No armor saves are allowed, but Helmet does already have a ward save which is augmented by the magical anomaly. Because the way magical resistance works is it improves your ward save against magic wounds. And if you already have a ward save, it improves it. If you don't have one, it gives you one. So it's magic resistance 2, so it improves his 5+ ward save to a 3+. Which he passes, so Helmet is okay. Champion is not okay. Champion dies to the plague. And now 25 great swords. 6 fail. Ooh, total of 13 fail. They do also get the ward save. Oh, but 10 die to the plague. That is definitely over a quarter. 11 died, leaving 16. So yeah, they have to immediately take a panic test. That is pretty devastating. However, they are testing on helmets. 8. Ooh, they pass. And now we see if the plague jumps. Ooh, it backfires! So I believe that means that the opponent can decide to end the spell or jump it. And the thing that they have to be aware of is if they choose to pass it and it continues to wound, it can then jump back to them. Anything within 12 inches, I think it is going to jump... Oh, is it worth jumping it to the storm vermin? Yes. Yes, it is. So they are going to jump it over to the storm vermin, which is just within the 12 inches. So that is the outsider and his bell, the champion, and then 45 storm vermin. Screaming bell passes, champion passes, and then 45 storm vermin, 10, 17, 26. Their ward saves, 2 pass, 7 pass. So that is 19 storm vermin die to the plague. That is bloody devastating. That is almost half the unit gone in a single spell. And we roll to see if it continues. The opponent can choose now to jump it. So I guess they're going to jump it to the clan rats, which is Vitan, a champion, and then 44 clan rats. Vitan, pass, champion, fail, and failed his save, so he's dead. And now 44 clan rats. 5, 8, 14, 18 clan rats failed. Can we fit 18 around this thing? Oh, it's struggling with it. But it looks like we can. Oh god, 14 clan rats just died. Another devastating event. And that is more than a quarter. So they do have to test now for panic. So they're within range of the outsiders. They can use his leadership. Plus, they've got 3 ranks from strength in numbers. So they are testing on a 10. So they're probably okay. They are. Okay. This has so far been horrendously devastating for the Skaven. Let's see if it keeps going. 4. I think that means it stops. Yeah, it does. Oh my god, that backfired so badly. We killed like, what? 1 wound on an ogre, and we killed like, admittedly, half of the great swords or something, but yeah, that I don't think was worth it. And then his last 4 dice are going to go on an upcast scorch, so he needs 16, 12 minus the levels, so he passes that, and there is no chance they can dispel it with their 1 dice left, so that passes. And I'm going to learn from my mistakes, and I'm going to place it somewhere where it's likely to scatter onto something that matters, so I'm going to place it there. And then it scatters 2d6 inches, direct hit. Doesn't say it uses the little arrow if it gets a hit, so it stays where it is. I would say that hits these 8 ogres. So look out, sir, for the champion, first of all. Fails, so he is also hit. It is a strength 4 hit, fails to wound the champion. 7 more, 4 wound, no armor, so that is 4 wounds. 1 wound on him, and then 3 more. So that is 2 ogres dead, and any unit that suffers an unsaved wound has to take a panic test. So they are testing on caster's leadership. So on a 9, they pass. Well, I don't know that magic phase was overall a win for the Skaven. That was horrendously bad. But time to carry on and do some shooting. 5 Skaven slaves are shooting at the halberdiers, so they have 10 shots because of multiple shots. Hitting on a 7, 1, still 1. No wound. These slaves are shooting at the great swords who are within short range, so it's hitting on a 6. How novel. 1, wound, not saved. I guess they are just having a really bad day, and that one just allowed himself to go down. The Jezzails are going to shoot at the Iron Guts, who are within short range. Champion, hit. 2 others. 3 wound, and at that strength, they get no armor. So that is another Iron Gut dead. The Warp Fire Thrower is going for the Halberdiers. So the way this fires is you place it touching the base, and then you roll an artillery dice, and it goes that far forward. 2 inches. That is actually not terrible, because that means... oh, it's lifting up. By my reckoning, 2 inches places it there. Don't worry about the 4.1s because it lifts up. So that only hits the very front of the unit, so not great. But it hits Eisenbert and a Halberdier. So a lookout, sir, for Eisenbert, which he passes, so it hits 2 ordinary Halberdiers. Very high chance to wound, yep. At that strength, they get no armor, so 2 halberdiers die, and any similar to the Scorch, any that take a wound from it have to take a panic test, because in both cases it is stuff bursting into flames. So the halberdiers are testing on Eisenbert's 8 with a reroll, which they don't need, they pass. This is a bit of a long shot, but this warp fire is also going to shoot, aiming in this direction, and it fires... oh, misfire. So it place the large template over the weapon team and resolve the hit as normal, and the team is removed. Well, these Skaven bloody hate these clan rats, don't they? So these clan rats would actually be lower. So that looks like it hits 4 clan rats, Zocket, and I forgot to roll for the gutter runners at the beginning of the turn. I roll a d6 for each one, so there is the one with Sneaky Rat. Yes, they arrive. Whoops. And they enter from any board edge, and the non-Sneaky Rat, they don't arrive. Sorry, I completely forgot about that. So they re-enter in the remaining moves. They can't charge in the turn they arrive, but they can shoot, however they count as having moved, I believe. So I would have placed them here to attack the Hellblaster. So they would arrive here. So they would move. They have a movement of 6, so they can move up to there. And they would shoot in this turn. So I'll come back to those. Anyway, yeah, sorry, that hits 4 clan rats. Zocket. I keep trying to call him Zoomy Rat. Zocket. And probably this building, because it does go over the footprint significantly. Clan rats, 3 wound, no armor. Zocket, I don't know why I rolled 2 there, sorry. I mean, they're both 1s. So, yeah, I'm just going to count that as having rolled 1, because it was the same result. And then the Ruin. Template weapons inflict d6 hits on a unit that is in a building. So, 4 hits. This may wipe them out. Well, not wipe them out, but 3 wounds. They do actually get an armor save, which all 3 fail. So that is 3 Jezzails killed. This is going terribly. Oh yes, and any unit that takes a wound has to roll panic. So the Warp Fire Thrower is gone, the Jezzails are gone, and both the Clan Rats and the Jezzails need to take a panic test. So the Vitans unit with strength in numbers, they're testing on a 9 with a reroll, which they don't need. The Jezzails, however, they're looking a lot less confident. They're out of range of the General. Oh yeah, sorry, they were testing on a 10. But they are within range of Vitans. They're testing on a 5 with a reroll, which they don't need. They are steadfast. Sorry, they would have moved up a bit further. I forgot the crew weren't real. So yeah, they had, I believe, 1.4 inches left of their moves, so they're going to move to there. So they are all within short range to attack the Hellblaster volley gun with their throwing weapons. So 6 gutter runners throwing weapons. Being quick to fire, they do not suffer from a move and shoot penalties, so they are hitting on a 3+, which is pretty good. 3 hit. Low chance to wound, but the throwing is more of a bonus. They're going to be charging next turn. So all that is left is the Plague Claw, which is probably going to go for the Halberdiers, considering they are a relatively unblooded threat. Easily has line of sight to there, so it now scatters. Misfire. This has not been a good turn for the... Alright, Plague Claw explodes. Just the bloody arm snaps. Has there been some... No, I was about to say, has there been some sort of sabotage? But most of the damage has been done by outside, who is in charge of the force, you know? So it's not exactly like an outside force is here doing stuff. I mean, then again, the Warp Fire exploded and the Plague Claw exploded. So that's 2 big things that have gone wrong. And now the Rat Ogres versus the Lead Belchers. Both have fear, so they do not need to test for that. Because actually on both sides they are monstrous infantry, they count as 3 models each for the assault, because normally they can choose 10 models, so that is 3 Rogers versus 3 Ogres. The Rat Ogres are considerably faster. The Roger champion has +1 attack for the Frenzy. 3. No wounds. And then the other 2 Rogers. 4. 4 wounds. At that strength they have no armor remaining. So that is 1 Lead Belcher dead, and another one losing a wound. 6 attacks back. 4. 3 saved, 1 wound on a Roger. And although technically Muta could have joined the fight, he was not going to volunteer to fight ogres on the front lines. So they don't get a +1 for the charge or from ranks, I believe, when assaulting a building, but the Roguers still win by 3. The building is within range of Caster, so they're testing on his 9, and garrisoned buildings are always steadfast, so they are testing straight up on the 9, which they pass. So the assault will continue next turn, as we go into Empire turn 2, or Alliance turn 2 rather. Well, this did not go like I hoped it would. Both sides are much bloodier than I expected them to be by this point of the game, but the Ogre Bulls are going to assault the building with the Clan Rats, so they are going to stand and shoot. They are easily within the minimum because they've got a movement of 6. So the Clan Rats are going to stand and shoot on a 7 to hit, 2, none. So they move in to assault the building, and I can't get them any closer, so I'm just going to have to leave them bloody there. I think the Great Swords are going to assault the Helped Abomination, so they need a 4 for that, which they get. And they were predominantly in the flank, so I think that counts as a flank charge. And again, the bloody building's in the way, even though they are not actually clipping it at all. I think the Halberdiers are going to charge this building and try clear that, so they need a 6. Because although they're not much of a threat in there, it's still better to clear them out. So they get that, and they charge in. The Roguers are actually within the front arc of the Iron Guts, but I feel like then they'd get flank charged by the Clan Rats. So I think it's probably better to just charge the Clan Rats. So they go by the speed of the slowest, so they're actually on casters 4 inches. They need an 11 total, so they need a 7 to get the charge, which they will try. And fail, so they move 4 inches forwards. To there. Horst is going to march over in this direction. He'd rather be near the Ogres than the Gutter Runners. Oswald is also going to march up to stay out of sight and in cover. Handgunners are going to stay where they are, although they may be a bit too... Oh no, they can still... Yeah, they can still shoot. I think the Iron Blaster is going to move up because it wants to be able to shoot, and it's probably going to go for the Jezzails. But yeah, I thought about charging the Roguers, but I have no idea how a multiple fight works like that. And I sort of think it's better to just leave the Lead Belchers to die? I don't know. Yeah, I'd rather use the Iron Blaster to shoot than to fight in combat, which it is not terrible at because it's still Ogres, you know. But yeah, I'll leave it as that. Magic. 7. Channeling Skaven. Channeling Alliance. None. Oswald will start with a Chain Lightning at the Clan Rats. So he doesn't need line of sight for that. So he needs a 15 minus the 4 for his level. So an 11. He needs 4 dice. Total of 15, exactly. The question is, do I let that through or not? It could kill the Clan Rats and it could arc to other stuff, so I think it needs to be stopped. I don't like what else he could do with it, but, you know, what choice is there? 17, that is enough to dispel it, so no more Chain Lightning. And then the second one is Thoma is going to cast Flaming Sword of Ruin on the Great Swords, so that they have flaming attacks and therefore can just kill the Helped Abomination. He needs an 8, and he's going to use the last 3 dice. Oh, and it's Irresistible Force. That's horrendously bad. So the spell goes through, and the miscast 11. Power Drain. The wizard's level is reduced by D3. 1. So he is now reduced to a level 1 wizard, and he loses the spell that he just cast. Shooting. I'm going to move one side to the other. The handgunners, I checked before, do have the Storm Vermin within their front arc, so they will go for them. And the outsider is carrying something called the Shadow Magnet Trinket, which means shooting attacks against him and his unit have -1 to hit, so they're only hitting on a 6. 1. Wound, and due to the strength and armor piercing, there is no armor. Lead Belchers are also going to go for that unit. They are within short range, so they do multiple shots, d6 each. Oh, wow, 4 great. Still 3 hit. 3 wound, and again, strength 4 with no armor save, so yeah. Sorry, strength 4 with armor piercing, so that's 3 more storm vermin. Hellblaster volley gun, same target. Roll 3, and that is 12. So they can shoot at either the unit or the bell. I think they're going to shoot for the unit, because if the unit's taken out, the bell can't move. And it can see past the building to hit the unit. Only hitting on a 6 because of the Shadow Magnet. 2 wound, again, no armor. They have been fairly well diminished. So they are probably going to have to reform in order just to not suffer from this badly. Iron Blaster is going to shoot at the Jezzails, and it is within range to do a grape shot. So it fires 10 shots. Low chance to hit, but basically any of these are going to almost certainly kill. 2, no armor save at all from this. Yep, so that is both Jezzails killed as just a massive load of grape shot just shatters through this building. This ruin is just left with, just leaves them nothing in there at all, just, bits. Which does probably trigger a panic in both of these units, because they are within 6 inches of a unit that just got wiped out. So they are both within range of the general, and Zocket is on his own. So Zocket is testing on a 7, passes. Clamrats are testing on a 10, passes. And now we have a lot of combat. So let's start at one end, I guess, apart from general stuff. So yes, first of all, the Rat Ogres versus the Lead Belcher. 2. There are still 2. Rat Ogre Champion, 2. 1 wound, no armor. So that is just 1 wound off this guy. Other 2, 3. 1 more wound. Again, no armor, so that is this Lead Belcher dead, leaving just that one in there. He strikes back. 2 wounds, and no armor, so that is 1. Oh. Okay, I didn't notice I'd already wounded that one. So 2 wounds off, so first of all, it would be... I think he'd already be dead. It doesn't really matter for the case of this, but yeah, 2 wounds off, so 1 there and 1 there, so yes. So he probably should have been dead already, but it doesn't really matter at this point. And the combat is a draw because it's entirely off wounds inflicted. So moving up, we have the Ogre Bulls versus the Skaven Slaves, who do have to test for fear. They are within range of the general, and they have 3 ranks. They're testing on a 10 for their panic. Not for their panic, for their fear, which they pass. Skaven Slaves are faster, so 10 of them versus 3 Ogres. 6. 1 wound. Saved. And as I mentioned before, normally Ogres get an Ogre Charge rule, which gives them impact hits, but it turns out you don't get impact hits in a garrison fight, so they have nothing. That said, they are still using 10 attacks because they have 3 each and the champion has 4. So 5 hit, 2 wound. They get no armor save. So the Skaven Slaves lose the combat because that was all it was. They've lost rank, so they're now testing on a 9 instead of a 10, but they pass. We're going to skip this fight for now because it's got the general in, but we'll do Eisenbert versus Skaven Slaves up here. So this is 9 Halberdiers and Eisenbert versus 10 Skaven Slaves. Eisenbert, 3. 2 wound, no armor. Next is 10 Slaves against Halberdiers. 8. 2 wound, miraculously 1 saved. 10 Halberdier attacks. 8. And they have +1 to their strength from their halberd. 6 wounds, no armor. So the slaves lose by 7, and they are steadfast, so they are still testing on an 8. Oh, I believe it's an 8. Let me just double check that, because it's testing on... Yeah, so the outsider has a leadership of 7, plus they get 1 for the rank that they do have. Oh no, they've got 2 ranks. Sorry, they've got two ranks. So Or rank bonus. No, they've got one extra rank. So yeah, they're testing on an 8, which they pass. And then finally, the Great Swords versus the Hellpit Abomination. It has terror, so they are going to have to test for fear. Testing on Helmet's 8, just pass. Helmet goes first. 2, 1 wound. Oh, sorry. They have a +1 to wound. That's still only 1 wound, but it also gives them flaming attacks, so he gets no regeneration at all. And the Abomination doesn't fight normally. You roll a d6 to find out what it does, similar to Giants. So it does 1. Feed. All models in base contact suffer a single strength 6 hit. Normally that wouldn't be amazing, however they're hitting it side on, so it's actually in contact with the entire front rank. Each unsaved wound is multiplied. So that is 4 hits against Great Swords normally. 4 wound. No armor saves allowed, so that is just 4 Great Swords dead. And against Helmet, a wound, no armor saves, but he does have a ward save, which he passes. Helmet the Lucky lives up to his name. He narrowly avoided being eaten by a Hellpit Abomination. And then 9 Great Sword attacks because the champion is dead. This is probably going to kill this thing because it gets no regeneration, no armor, and they have very, very high strength. 7. It's only a 3+2 wound though. Still, that's 6 wounds, and because they are flaming attacks, no saves whatsoever. So that's the Hellpit Abomination gone. Before I remove it, anyone need to take any panic from this? No, because the only things within range are unbreakable or in combat. So yeah, Hellpit Abomination is finally killed. And normally the Hellpit Abomination has a rule called too horrible to die, meaning it can come back to life, but if any of the wounds were lost to flaming attacks, it loses that rule, so it is not coming back. And on the turn that they charge, they are going to continue charging. They're going to overrun. So they overrun 2d6 for 6 inches, which I believe is enough to carry them into... Yes. So they charge this unit, and they will continue the fight next round. And the advantage of doing that is it means they can't reform. So although they're going to be hit by all 3 ranks, it means they can't reform into something which is better for their leadership. Alright, overall, those combats were not as decisive as I expected them to be. I didn't think the Skaven slaves would hold on in the middle, for example, but that is it as we go into Deathtoll Turn 3. First we find out if the other gutter runners are arriving due to the sneaky infiltrators, and as it has now been 1 turn since they failed, they get +1 to the roll, so they will succeed on a 3+. Don't know why I'm rolling it on this one, but I am. They failed anyway. Let's do this charge here with the clan rats charging into the ogres. They are... Yeah, it looks like they're just over 5... Oh no, they're just under 5 inches away. So they are within the minimum, and that is fine. So they will just charge into the front. These gutter runners are going to charge into the Hellblaster. Zocket is going to move to... Actually, no, he's probably fine there. He can still see that. And that's it. Everything else is in combat already. Magic, 10. Skaven channel. Alliance channel, 1. Let's ring the bell one more time. Ooh, 11. Deafening peals. All models on the battlefield with a toughness of 7 or more immediately take a wound with multiple wounds d3. I think that is just the Hellblaster volley gun. And then roll a d6 for each building within 18 inches, and it collapses on a 5+. The only building that can collapse is this one, and due to the magical anomaly, it is immune to it. Yeah, it's just the Hellblaster. The Iron Blaster has a toughness of 6, so it's just weak enough to get by unscathed. So it immediately takes a wound, you don't even roll for it, but it does take d3 wounds. So it takes 1, reducing it to a single wound for when the gutter runners murder them. So that's another crewman gone. I will start with Zocket casting Death Frenzy on the clan rats. So he needs a 9 for this. He's going to use 3 dice, which he gets. just, +2 for his level, so a total of 11. I am not sure. I reckon the Iron Guts can probably take them anyway, even with Frenzy, because that's all it does. Unless they already have Frenzy, Death Frenzy just gives them Frenzy. This is slightly changed from the one in the book. So yeah, I reckon they can handle a unit with Frenzy, so they will not try and dispel that. And then I reckon an Upcast Warp Lightning from Zocket at the Iron Blaster. So he needs a 12. He's going to go with 4 dice. Total of 16. That one they will try and dispel. I mean, they can only realistically dispel 1. Yeah, they're going to try and dispel that one with 6 dice, which they manage. So that is gone. And then the Outsider will cast Cloud of Corruption, which targets all units, friend and foe, within 12 inches. And he needs a 12 for that. He's got 3 dice, but he is a level 4 wizard. Total of 12 exactly. And I think for that one, Oswald is going to use his Dispel Scroll, which he has. He's got a 1-use Dispel Scroll, so he's going to use that. That is now gone, but the spell is gone as well. The only shooting is the Warp Fire Thrower, which I guess is going to go for the Lead Belchers. So this goes an artillery dice inches forwards. 10, which may overshoot it. It does not, it hits the building. So if a template hits a building, it does d6 hits. 5. 3 wound. At that strength, there is no armor, so that is 1 dead Lead Belcher. Again, I've got wounds split. I don't know why that keeps happening. Alright, 1, 2, 3. I don't know why I keep doing that. I normally try and pay attention to that. Anyway, if there is at least 1 unsaved wound, they have to take a panic test. Their general is out of range, as is their battle standard, so they are testing on their own 7, which they just pass. And now there is a lot of combat to go. So we will start, I think, with an easy victory, which will be the Hellblaster Volley Gun. It's going to be all 6 Gutter Runners, because there can only be 6 against 1 crewman. The Gutter Runners are definitely faster. Oh, damn, sorry, they're skirmishers. Oh, whoops. I'll just quickly get skirmisher bases for them. They're carrying extra hand weapons, so 12 attacks. 9. And if any of these is a wound, yep, that is, he's definitely dead. He gets no armor save. And that is the Hellblaster Volley Gun taken out of the battle. And I'm just going to flip it over. So first of all, the Lead Belchers are going to have to take a panic test as... Oh, actually, do they take a panic test? They do not. Because of the way the team battle works, they do not count as friendly units for rule purposes, in which case there is no panic, because you only take a panic test if a friendly unit is destroyed within 6 inches. So they don't need to panic. Whoops. I wasn't aware of that. But they charge this turn, so they will overrun. 2d6, 5 inches, that is enough to get them close enough to assault the building. Next, this building, we have the 3 Rat Ogres versus the Lone Lead Belcher. Champion has the Frenzy Attack, 3 hit. 2 wound, no save. The other 2, 4. And that is his last wound gone. So the last Lead Belcher is killed, freeing up the building. And instead of... instead of moving into it, there is no benefit to the Rogers being in a building. They are just going to move an inch back. This does cause a panic test in the Iron Blaster, who has just seen a friendly unit get wiped out. But he is within range of the General, and no, somebody else's Battle Standard Bearer. Alright, so he's within range of the General, and therefore gets to test on Caster's 9, which he fails. And without the Battle Standard Bearer being there, they flee. I had to check whether the Iron Blaster would actually flee, because War Machines don't. The Iron Blaster counts as a chariot, which means it does flee. And apparently it also has the Swift Stride rule, which seems really weird for, you know... I suppose it's being pulled, isn't it? Yeah, okay, Swift Stride. So they flee 3d6 and use the 2 highest. 9. away from the nearest enemy unit, which is probably the Roguers. Yes, it is. So they turn this way and they flee 9 inches directly away, which means they're going to clear a lot of the battlefield because they have to stop somewhere that they can stop. So they stop there. There are so many circles on this board. Look at all the bloody circles. Crazy. Next we will do the Skaven Slaves versus Eisenbert's Halberdiers. Eisenbert is first. 3 misses. Bloody miserable. So yeah, this is 10v10. Are there still? Yeah, there are still 10 Skaven Slaves. Slaves attacks. 4. 1 wound. Not saved. Pretty poor show. And now 10 Halberdier attacks because of the champion. 7. +1 strength from halberds. 4. No saves. So 4 more slaves dead. Being garrisoned, the slaves are still steadfast, so they use the outside as 7 plus nothing, so they're just testing on 7. Which they fail. And they do not have a battle standard bearer within range, so they have failed, and they just flee because of the cornered rats rule. Every unit within d6 inches takes d3 strength 3 hits. d6 inches is 1, which is just going to be the halberdiers. So they take d3, 3. So 3 strength 3 hits. No wounds whatsoever. So the Skaven Slaves are removed, and the halberdiers could claim the building if they want, but similar to down here, there is no use to it. So they will just back up an inch, like so. Ready to reform next turn. And now the 3 big battles in the middle that are a lot more important than the ones at the edges. Let's go with this one with Caster's unit first, because that can have an effect on the other 2 battles. Vitan will challenge, and the Iron Guts champion will accept, because he's being paid to protect Caster. Vitan is much faster and has... Oh, actually, sorry, yes, I'm glad I just penned over this. The start of combat, enemy units take 2d6 strength 2 hits, because Vitan is carrying the Banner of the Under Empire. So 2d6 strength 6 hits. 10. Distributed as per shooting, and there are 10 models, which means one of them will hit Caster. There are 8 models, so one of them will hit Caster, and then it'll cycle back through the rest. Caster, fine. Iron Guts champ, fine. Against the rest of the Iron Guts, 1 wound. Saved. Anyway, the Iron Guts are wielding great weapons, so Vitan goes first. He has Frenzy, so an extra attack. 4 hit. He's carrying a halberd, so +1 strength. Only 1 wound, but it goes straight through armor. So the chief, the champion, loses 1 wound, but is still alive. 4 attacks back. 2. Oh, sorry, I forgot to test for fear. I forgot that the ogres all inflict fear. So they're testing on 9 because of Vitan's 6, +3 for strength in numbers, so 9 with a reroll. Yeah, they're fine. Carry on. Due to the great weapons, that is only 1 wound, that is poor. And goes straight through his armor, so Vitan takes a wound. And now the rest of the unit, I believe Caster goes next. 3 attacks. 2. 2 wound. Both failed their armor. 2 clamrats dead. Because the front row get an extra attack from Frenzy, that is 13 more attacks. 7. 3 wound. 2 of them were saved, so only a single wound against the unit. That is poor. And I don't know what I really expected, actually, because the Iron Guts are the elites of the Ogre Kingdoms. Well, they're not elites, you know, they're troops, but, you know, they now get to strike back. And being monstrous infantry, the second rank get to use up to 3 attacks each. So a total of 15 attacks with great weapons. This is not looking good. 9, 6 wounds, no armor saves at all. That is the whole back tray gone. Oh no. That is bad for them. Very, very, very bad for them. So they get 1 for rank, they get 3 for rank. Banner and banner, battle standard. So they only lose the combat by 3, but that is enough for them to lose frenzy, because you lose frenzy if you lose a combat. and they have to test for leadership. They are within range of the general, and they do have a reroll, so they are actually testing on a 10. Oh no, they would be testing on a 10, minus the 3, so they're testing on a 7 with a reroll. Actually, they would be testing on a 10. Either way, they did fail, because they're steadfast, they have more ranks. They did fail, because they got an 11, reroll, and they pass. So they stay in the combat. Next, we will do the Skaven slaves versus the bulls, and I do not think these slaves are going to last much longer than the other ones did. First of all, they're testing for fear, and they are within range of the general, with 2 ranks, so they are testing on a 9, with a reroll, I think, which they don't need. 10 attacks, 6, 1 wound, saved. Total of 10 attacks because of the champion, 8, 7 wounds, no armor. That is a significant chunk of the unit gone, and they are still steadfast though, so they are testing on 7, 8 because of their rank, with a reroll. Didn't I just do the with a reroll? I'm confused. Where am I? Oh no, that was the fear. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. They pass, so they are staying in the fight. And now this one with the outsider and his storm vermin against Helmut and his great swords. So Helmut will challenge, which will be accepted by the storm vermin champion. I mean, what's actually happening here is that they're not challenging, so Helmut does, and that's why he got the challenge on the Skaven turn. Anyway, so Helmut versus the storm vermin. They strike at the same time, with Helmut's side having +1 to wound, and, I mean, magical and flaming, but they don't matter here. Helmut's attacks, 1, wound, passed. So the Storm Vermin champion is alive. Storm Vermin attacks back, 1, no wound. Oh, sorry, again I forgot fear. This time the Screaming Bell actually inflicts fear. So, Helmut's testing on an 8. Which he passes. Carry on. The great swords have, well, great swords, so they go last. Because this is a horde, all 3 ranks of storm vermin can fight, as can the Screaming Bell. So it all goes before the great swords, so I'll just do the Screaming Bell first. The outsiders attack, miss. The Rat Ogre ringing the bell, 2 hit, 2 wound, no saves. And now 11 storm vermin attacks. 4, 3 wound. Sorry, I forgot to mention the storm vermin of halberds. 1 save, 2 more dead. That is not many wounds considering how good a unit the storm vermin usually are. Leaving 6 great swords against the storm vermin. I think because they can actually attack the outsider, because a thing with this Screaming Bell that I absolutely love is that the Grey Seer rides the bell. And it's such a cool little detail. Look at him up there. It's so cool. But it means that if he refuses a challenge, he just hides at the top of the bell, which is something that the Plague Priest on the Plague Furnace can't do. But because the way it works with challenges is the challenger decides who sort of refuses the challenge in a way. So if, like, I'd refused the challenge from Helmut, he could have said, oh, the Storm Vermin champion refuses, and therefore the outside would still be attackable. So either way, he is attackable, and these 2 are going to go for him. So 4 against the unit first, 4 hit, 4 wound, and at that strength, because their great weapons give them +2 strength, there are no saves, so 4 storm vermin dead. I think that was horrendous luck that bloody same chance to hit, and 11 storm vermin got like 3 hits compared to 4 getting 4, you know? And 2 great swords against the outsider himself. 2 hit, only 1 wound, but he gets no armor save. He does get a slight armor save from being on the bell, but not enough. So that is 1 wound against the outsider. And I'm a little unsure about a thing here with the way the Screaming Bell rules are written. Count the Screaming Bell as the same number of Skaven that would normally occupy the space, 15, for working out the rank bonus of the unit. Does that mean because it sort of extends out the back, you see, does that mean I say, oh, well, if it was 15 Skaven, this would be a full rank? That's what it's implied to be. Like, I can't think of what else that could mean. Because, you know, if it's just part of the unit, then surely that's just a mixed unit, you know? I don't know. That seems like a really odd phrasing and implies it is supposed to add to their rank bonus. So, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, but I guess I'm going to treat it like that. So that would mean it would fill out this rank, and therefore they count as having 2 full ranks. I mean, to be honest, even if it doesn't, in this case, that would count as like 3 across in that unit, in those columns, those ranks, those files, that's the term. So that would still be 5 for the next rank anyway. They get nothing for rank. They have a banner. They have a banner. So, despite the combat not really going great, the Skaven do win it by 1. So Helmut is testing. His battle standard bearer is within range, is there. So he is testing on, it's a break test, so he actually rolls 3d6, testing on a -1. So 3d6 for a 7 with a reroll. Easily passes. And from victory, they are going to reform, because this no longer works for Skaven builds. I really wasn't expecting half the unit to get wiped out by a plague, but we deal with what happens. There we go, a much smaller, tighter unit that is a lot deeper, which suits the Skaven leadership system. And we go into Alliance turn 3. I don't believe there are any charges that I could do, even if I wanted to. So first of all, we have to test for the Iron Blaster, who is now within range of Caster, but no Battle Standard Bearer, because Caster's side don't have one. So testing on Caster's 9, pass. So the Iron Blaster recovers, though I don't believe it can shoot in the turn that it recovers. However, it is also now in a horrendously useless place where it can do absolutely nothing of value. Horst is going to move up this way a little to give him some line of sight. Oswald is probably going to stay where he is. Is he within range? Yeah, he is. So he's going to stay there. The Halberdiers are going to reform to there, so that they can charge either of these if they wish. And the handgunners with nothing left to shoot are going to rotate 2 and then move 2 forward. I don't believe they have any enemies within 8 inches, so they can charge. Yes, they can. Sorry, not charge, march. So they're going to move another 4 inches forwards. Magic. 7. Channeling Skaven. Channeling Alliance. None. I think Oswald will do a Chain Lightning at the Roguers. So he needs a 15, and I think he's going to use all 6 dice. They're going to put everything they've got for the turn into this one spell. Oh, it's irresistible. In hindsight, this may not have been the best choice, because there's nowhere for it to arc after it gets them. You know, the advantage of this one is that it can, like, arc to multiple things. There is just the Roguers, so he's just got an irresistible force for D6 strength 6 hits. How many? 4. 5+, it hits Muta. 2 hit Muta, 2 hit Rats. Roguers. Muta Slack takes 2 wounds, and at that strength it goes straight through his armor. So Muta is dead. One of the 5 leaders of Clan Deathtoll gone. So in like 2 rounds we've had Bilefroth and Muta Slack both get killed off. And the Roguers, 2 wound. Again, no armor, so that is 2 Roguers. So 1 wound and another. But yeah, that's going to affect the Roguers' ability to act. I think they have stupidity if they don't have a Pack Master or Master Molder with them. Alright, let's see what happens to Oswald. Oh no! Oh, that's really bad. A Dimensional Cascade. Center the large template over the wizard, and everything takes a strength 10 hit. So Horst is safe because he happened to move away. He was stood right next to Oswald earlier, but it hits Oswald and 2 ogres. It is only a strength 10 hit, like it doesn't multiple roll, so it's not going to kill anything, but it may still suck Oswald in. So Oswald and 2 ogres. Oswald... wound, obviously. 2 ogres, 2 wounds, obviously. I got 3 6s for that. Wow. Alright, so that takes 2 wounds, Oswald takes 1, and now, sorry, on a 3 or less, he's just gone, so 4+ to survive. No! Oswald! He's another character I like. Yeah, Oswald, I'm afraid, is sucked into a dimensional cascade as he casts a spell that did very little. I mean, it killed a character, I suppose, but... Oswald, no! He's gone! That is really going to hurt the Solland cause. Is it bad that I'm already thinking of ways it could be spun for PR purposes? Yeah, there's no chance that Horst could cast his 1 spell. He needs an 11 and he's only got 1 dice left, so yeah, that's the end of the magic phase. There is no shooting because the Lead Belchers are in combat and the Iron Blaster rallied this turn, so straight into the combat phase. Let's start with the Skaven Slaves versus the Ogre Bulls, because that doesn't include anyone of importance. First of all, they have to test for fear. They are within range of the General, but they only have 1 rank, so they're testing on an 8. Which they fail. They are within range of Vitan, so they can re-roll. And they pass. Slave attacks. 7. No wounds. Bloody hell. Because of the champion, they have 10 back. 7. 5 wound. No armor. That is almost half of the remaining Skaven slaves, so they are going to be testing on a rather low roll this time. So they're still testing on the outsiders, so they're testing on 7 to see if they hold, which they do. They are not doing well at shifting some of the weakest things in the entire game out of this building. I guess that's what being garrisoned means. You know, you're always steadfast. It's incredible. Next we'll do Caster and his Iron Guts versus Vitan and his Clan Rats. So Caster versus Vitan. First of all, 2d6 hits from the banner. That's 4. A measly bloody 4. And they're all going to be allocated against Iron Guts. 1 wound. Not saved. A rat bites something important to an ogre and kills it. Wow. An ogre actually dies from being swarmed by rats. I mean, it probably isn't literally 1 rat biting something important. It's probably, you know, the ogre at the back who's feeling a bit weak just gets pulled down by the entire swarm of them. But, you know, it's funny to picture it as just like, no, don't bite that. I'm out of the fight. Vitan goes first. 2. Halberd gives him +1 strength. No wounds. Caster strikes back. 1. 1 wound. Not saved. So Vitan takes a wound. And that kills him. So Vitan is dead. 10 Clan Rats against Iron Guts. I forgot to take a fear test. So this would have been done when Vitan was still alive. So testing on a 9 with a reroll. Pass. 10 Clan Rats against Iron Guts. 5. 2 wound. 1 save. 1 wound. That is not good. Sorry, Caster wasn't in the challenge, it was the bloody Iron Guts champion. Whoops. Okay, yeah, I need to redo that then, because that changes things. I was trying to work out why the hell he was getting wounded on a 3+ last time. It's like, did I miscalculate? No, I just got the wrong bloody person this time. He had the same roll to hit, so he has 1 extra attack, which misses. So it still would have been 1 hit and maximum of 1 wound. So it's actually a better roll because he's got the great weapons. So yeah, he is still dead. Well, that would have been awkward, but it worked out pretty much the same. 59 guts attacks at Clan Rats. 7. 6 wounds, no armor. Also, I've just realised the Clan Rats are wielding bloody spears, which wouldn't have affected them last round because they charged, but they would actually get 5 additional attacks this round, so I will do that right away. And then Caster will get to attack because, of course, he wasn't in the fight against Vitan, so he is in the fight against the Clan Rats. 5 additional Clan Rats. 2 wound. Both saved. And now Caster's attacks. For real this time. 2. No wound. 1 rank, banner, banner. So the Iron Guts win by 6. So they're testing on the General's 7 plus 1 for a rank, testing on an 8, minus the 6. Yeah, because they're no longer steadfast. They have the same number of ranks. So they're testing on a double 1, which they fail. So the Clan Rats flee 9 and are pursued 4. This fight did not go as I was expecting it to. I mean, admittedly, Iron Guts are very good, but I just didn't expect it to go quite that badly. So they flee 9. Does actually go to there because they were on 0.7 to begin with. They have to clear Zocket, who then immediately has to take a panic test. Testing on the Outsider's 7, passes, and Caster's unit pursue 4. And then Helmet versus the Outsider's unit. Helmet, I'm just going to shift him again because the changing of stuff around moved, so he was no longer in contact. Helmet versus the Storm Vermin. 3 Helmet attacks, 3 hit, 3 wound, 3 fail. So the Storm Vermin champion is dead, and they get 3 for overkill. However, they attack at the same time, so he does still get to make his strikes back against Helmet. 1 hit with the Halberd is 1 wound, passes his armor save. Then it is the Outsider and all the Storm Vermin versus the Greatswords. Outsider's attack, hit, no wound. Rat Ogre crew, 2 hit, only 1 wound, failed the armor. And then it's only 5 Storm Vermin because they're no longer a horde. Only 2, but 2 wounds, both dead. Leaving just 3 great swords to strike back. I can actually move a Storm Vermin. You'll notice that I left this space blank, or you may have noticed that I left this space blank for that fight up to this point, and that's because the Storm Vermin here was striking at the same time as these Storm Vermin, so they move in to fill sort of after the initiative of whoever killed the one there, but because Helmet strikes at the same time as these Storm Vermin, the one didn't move forward until after their turn, basically. 2 great swords are going to go for the Outsider because they've pretty much accepted that they've lost now, but they're always steadfast. Whoops, I think I forgot that when I tested them. Oh well, they passed anyway. Yeah, they are going to go for the Outsider again because they recognize the threat he poses, and they are determined to kill him, and they can't break the unit because they're unbreakable, so best to kill the Outsider if they can. Sorry, I rolled the wrong to hit. Doesn't matter. Alright. I rolled a 3+, but it's actually a 4+ against the Greatswords, but they got either a 2 or a 5. None of them got a 3 to hit, so nothing was on the edge. Never mind. 2 Greatswords against the Outsider. Both miss. That is going to severely hamper their ability to win this combat, as 1 Greatsword against Storm Vermin. Hit, wound, and 2 high strength to get an armor save. So they get 3 for rank, they get none for rank, 1 for banner, and 1 for banner, which means the Skaven again win by 2. However, the Greatswords are always steadfast, so they're always just testing on Helmet's 8 with 3. Ooh, which they fail, because they use the 2 lowest. Eisenbert is just within range, so they do get to reroll. And they just pass with the 3 and the 5. Let me just double check. His leadership is an 8. Yep, so they do just hold on. Woo, that was close. And now we go into Deathtoll Turn 4. And just to mention, as per the scenario, this could be the final turn of the game. At the end of this turn, that is after both sides have had their turn, we roll a dice, and if it's a 6, that is the end of the game. So if the Skaven slaves still miraculously are holding on, then the Skaven will win. But first we see if the sneaky infiltrators arrive, and this time it is on a 2+. No, they don't. Of course not. Why forgot to do this combat? I did forget to do this combat entirely. Let's do that now. Sorry. So this is Sneaky Rat and all 6 Gutter Runners against the 2 Lead Belchers. They're testing Fear on the Gutter Runners 7, which they fail. So they are afraid. So that reduces their weapon skill to 1 for this turn. That's crap. 12 Gutter Runner attacks. 4. No wounds. That has scuppered them. Sneaky Rat. Miss. 2 Lead Belchers fight back. 2. 1 wound. 6+ ward. Fail. So 1 Gutter Runner dies. And the Lead Belchers win the bloody combat. Just, terrible luck on that fear. So Sneaky Rat's unit have to test on 6 to see if they flee, which they do. So they flee 6 inches just away from the building. My mistake, the assaulting unit doesn't take a break test if they lose, because they can't get run down. So they back up, and that is the end of it. So, yeah, I didn't forget much then. I just lost 1 Gutter Runner, whatever. Whereas, as I was, the only charge is them. Oh, do I even want to continue going for them? It really went poorly. What benefit is there to killing these Lead Belchers? None. This combat has turned very, very sharply with that bloody... I blame the plague. Alright, I'm going to charge back in. Why not? No. No, I'm not. Instead, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to reform them to there. Sorry, they're skirmishers. Because the way building assaults... Oh! 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 Huh. I have been doing building assaults wrong this entire time. So they shouldn't have been fighting this on both turns, you see. When the assault ends, unless the attacker wins, I suppose they've won every time, haven't they? Oh no, because they passed their break, yeah. So the way that happens, unless the defender flees the building, the assaulter has to move back an inch. So they don't count as in the combat. It doesn't maintain like, normal combats do. So, yeah, they move back their inch. And then they can't really reform. There's no bloody space. So, yeah. Then again, they're skirmishers. They can reform as many times as they want in a move. So they're going to do that. I'm fairly sure that's legal. Doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah. So the Ogre Bulls here, for example, should have moved back. So I've been doing it entirely wrong. So the question is now, do I start doing it right, or do I continue doing it wrong for this battle and learn for the future? I kind of think I should do it right now that I know. So these guys are no longer in the combat. They have to move back an inch. And what that means, you see, is that the unit inside can shoot them, and that they don't automatically continue the combat in the Skaven turn. So that is why it matters who is... because that gives them basically half the time to kill off the Skaven inside. Okay. I wish I'd known that sooner. I need to test for the Rat Ogre's stupidity, so they're testing on their own leadership, which is really poor, of 5. They fail. So they move 6 inches forwards, which they can't do because there is a building in the way, so they just stay where they are, staring at this ruin. The Clam Rats see if they can recover. They are still within range of the general, and they still have over 25%. I think... maybe not, actually. 13. Yes, that is over a quarter of 45. So, yeah, they're within range of the general, and they have 1 rank, so they're testing on an 8. They pass with a double 1. Running past Zocket really made them come to terms with mortality. Over here, Sneaky Rat is going to step out of the unit, because he can do that, and I should have done that much sooner because he was a stupid addition to this combat. That was a massive mess up on my part. That's going to turn to do some shooting. Zocket is going to, now that the Iron Blaster's moved away, Zocket is going to move into this building. And he's just going to stay garrisoned in here where he's a little bit safer. Oh, hang on, the Clam Rats have lost their banner because they fled. I've remembered that now. Magic. 3. Bloody 3. Channeling Skaven. Channeling Wissenland. I sort of see that I should have picked my spells more carefully. Like, Plague, which is one of my favourite spells in the game, is amazing against hordes because it affects every model in the unit, which is why it was so bloody devastating against mine. But against lots of small or tough units like the ogres, it is just worthless. So Cloud of Corruption, however, is a lot better against the ogres because it does D6 high strength hits. So whether it hits my guys or theirs, it's going to do more to theirs than to mine. So I think we're going to go with a Cloud of Corruption, because that might do a load of damage. It might also kill off the Skaven slaves holding the centre building, which would be really bad, but they're probably going to die anyway. So he needs 12 minus 4 for his level. He's only got 3 dice. He is going to use a warp token, total of 16, and the additional 1 for the token, total of 21. Their only chance of dispelling is a double 6, which they don't get, so Cloud of Corruption passes. All units within 12 inches roll a d6 for each one. Friendlies are hit on a 4+, enemies are hit on a 2+. Does it count his own unit? I assume it does. It would seem strange if it doesn't, but it doesn't say that it does. I assume it wouldn't hit him if he was a lone guy, but with the unit, I'm going to say it does. I'm going to go clockwise, starting with the Storm Vermin, and then moving around like so. Storm Vermin, not hit. Warp Fire Thrower, hit. Takes 4. No armor saves allowed. So that's 3 wounds. The Warp Fire Thrower is dead. Have I just made another massive mistake? Oh no. The Halberdiers, not hit. They're one of the ones I really wanted to hit. Handgunners are out of range. Lead Belchers, hit. 6 hits. Only 1 bloody wound. But that is another Lead Belcher dead. Out of range. Oh yeah, Helmet's unit. Hit. 5. Because there are so few, it does have to distribute carefully, so Helmet will get hit by 1, and the Great Swords by 4. Helmet, wounded. No armor, but he does have a ward save. He normally has a 5+, augmented by 2 because of the magic field, so he is safe. 4 Great Swords. 4 wounds. Magic anomaly save. 1 saved, 3 dead. That is the entire unit apart from Helmet. Iron Blaster. Sorry, I rolled 2 dice. I meant to roll 1. Not hit, even though both of the ones I rolled were a hit. Whatever. Actually, yeah, according to my rules, as they were both the same roll, they were both hits, it would be a hit. So yeah, I'm going to count it as a hit. 2. No wound. Horst is out of range. Ogre Bulls. Not hit. Skaven Slaves. Hit. 3. 3 wounds, no saves. That is over a quarter of the unit. So they are going to have to test for panic now. On the outside of 7. They just pass. Caster's unit, but they're enough that he won't have chance of being hit. Hit. 1. Wound. So that is just 1 bloody wound off them. Out of range. Clan Rats. Not hit. Okay. I really feel like I have no idea if these spells are bloody worth it. Because I swear they backfire more, like the Warp Fire Thrower was going to do some good damage. We killed, what? A few Great Swords and a Lead Belcher, and that's it! Okay, sure. Shooting. The Gutter Runners, 2 of them are within range to throw their hand weapons at the Iron Blaster. It is virtually no chance of hitting, virtually no chance of wounding, but it is a free thing to do. They both miss. And Sneaky Rat is going to use his Doom Rocket. This is the reason he is with them, because he's not a spellcaster. I gave him the Doom Rocket so that he could flank them and fire it off. For the way the Doom Rocket works is you roll 4 between 4d6 and 10d6 to determine the range of the weapon. 3 or more ones is a misfire, and it has its own misfire chart. So I'm aiming for this unit, so I need a 10, really, 10 or 11 in order to get the hit. So I'm going to roll 5d6, because obviously the longer the range, the higher the chance of getting 3 ones. Ooh, 2 ones, but that is not enough to trigger a misfire. The weapon fires, it's also one use only. Range of 14, that is high enough for me to get... Oh, it's the 5-inch template, so it's the large round template. So I'm going to fire it right there. So I want to hit Horst. Yeah, I'd say that's a legal shot. So the Doom Rocket doesn't actually scatter. And because Horst doesn't have anything of the same unit type, he cannot take a Lookout Sir roll. So he is hit along with 5 ogres. And it is a strength 5 hit. Horst, wounded, no save. 5 ogres, 3 wounds. And at that strength, it is no save. So that is 3 wounds, 1 dead, 2 more off that one. Ogres are really cool because they are so bloody hard to kill. And the Skaven slaves are going to shoot at the ogres, because if they can stop them from charging, then they might actually win. There are only 3 Skaven slaves left, so they have a total of 6 shots. Short range, but it's still a 6 to hit. 1, no chance of wounding. Nope. And the Warp Fire Thrower got killed by the Outsider spell, so that is it for shooting. On to combat. And now there is just the one combat. It's just Helmut against all of this. Oh, I forgot to ring the bell. I'm doing that now because I should have remembered. It was my favourite thing. 12. Deafening Peals. That does nothing because there are no things strong enough to be affected by it. Oh well, back to the combat. Helmut is still... Oh no, he's not in the challenge anymore. So he's going to challenge because otherwise he's going to get hit by everything. And the Outsider is going to refuse and just scamper to the top of the bell. So the Outsider cannot strike, but it means everything else can strike Helmut. Also, because the Outsider cast, and I've remembered this time, I always forget it, because the Outsider cast a plague spell, every enemy within 6 inches, which is Helmut, has -1 initiative. So Helmut actually goes after the Storm Vermin. So 4 Storm Vermin attack Helmut. He has to test for fear. I may have forgotten to do that last round. He fails his fear, but Eisenbert is just within range, so he gets to reroll an 8. Fails again. Clearly he's feeling the effects of the cloud of corruption. He's just seen all of his friends die. He feels a bit slowed, even though he didn't succumb to the illness. And now he's just facing this alone, and he's like, I'm lucky, but frickin' hell. So yeah, he fails, and he's on a 1 weapon skill. 4 Storm Vermin attacks. 4 3 hit. 2 wound. 1 pass. And his ward passes. He is still insanely bloody lucky. And now Helmut strikes at the same time as the Rat Ogre. So Helmut's going to go for Storm Vermin, because there's no chance he's going to be able to destroy the bell. Still gets a hit. And a wound, which is not saved. So he actually scores a wound. The first wound in this bloody combat today. And now the Rat Ogre crew, 3. Sorry, that should have been a 2+. So that's 2 wounds. Failed his armor. Failed his ward. Has he used his Luckstone? I think he has. No, he hasn't. So he is carrying a Luckstone, which the first time he fails an armor save, he can re-roll it. So he did fail his ward, and he did fail the re-roll of the armor. So I'm afraid that is a wound off Helmut. And at the end of the combat, they have 3 for rank, 1 for the banner. Helmut loses by 4. He is no longer steadfast. He is within range of the battle standard bearer, but he is testing on a 4 with a reroll, which he fails, and the reroll, he fails again. He flees 9 inches, and should they pursue? I think they probably should. So yeah, they're going to pursue. 6 inches. Alright, so Helmut manages to escape. So he flees 9 inches this way. Which actually puts him on the iron blaster, so he has to clear it. And I need to double check the rules about panic. Fleeing friends. Is that a friendly unit? I'm going to assume it doesn't count. Because, yeah, they're on the same side, they're working together, but they're not friendly. So, although the phrasing is different, I'm going to assume they mean it to be the same thing. So they move 6 inches forwards in victory. And we go into potentially the final turn, Alliance turn 4. Before I go on with this turn, just want to quickly mention, apologies this one has taken so long to come out. I recorded 3 sessions of this, about 6 hours, and then I got ill for like a month. So this is the earliest I could continue recording it, and I'll get this video out as soon as I can. But yes, apologies about that. So I may have forgotten some stuff, but I've recently edited the rest, so I should know pretty much where we are. And we are starting with a load of charges. So let's have a look at the halberdiers. They are 6.9 inches away. So that means they need a 3 to charge, which they get. So the halberdiers crash into the flank. This could be decisive. Over here, the ogre bulls are going to charge back into the Skaven slaves in the building. Caster's unit are going to charge the clan rats. With a movement of 6, they also need a 3, which they get. And I think that triggers ogre bulls, like the ogre charge ability. No, it doesn't. Ogre charge, when calculating the charge range, the 2 highest dice score a total of 10 or more, then they inflict D3 impact hits instead of just 1. But no, I thought it was over half, but no, that was a total of 7. So they get the charge, but they can't get the bonus for the extra impact hits. The Iron Blaster has nothing else to do, so we'll also just charge in. It does. Oh, this might also have Ogre Charge. No, it doesn't, but it does have impact hits D6. So that will also inflict impact hits. And now that all the charges are done, I find out whether Helmut panics or not. So he's testing. Also, I noticed this in the edit. I tested Helmut wrong. He actually gets 3d6 for a break because he is a captain of the Empire. I only rolled 2, and he failed that twice. So it's entirely possible he could have held on, but it's a bit late now to undo it. So I think for fairness, I will test him on 3 for this, which he wouldn't normally get, and he recovers. So yeah, I should have. I noticed it basically every other time, and this time I forgot, but always the way. So yes, he's just going to rally, but he's going to face them because he's probably going to be getting a charge from them. Handgunners, as there is nothing to shoot, are going to move up 3 inches and then rotate. And as they have no enemies within 8 inches, they are going to move another inch up and then rotate another 3 times. So I think to there. Is that 2? Magic 10. Channeling Skaven. Channeling Wissenland. I don't know that there is any point to casting anything, because the only spell Horst has left is Fulminating Flame Cage. Oh no, there are the Rat Ogres. Yeah, we could get the Rat Ogres. I don't think it's worth it. I honestly don't. Because, yeah, it could get them, but like they're not. If they fail their stupidity, they're not going to move, and they're not going to be a threat anyway. And they are very likely to fail their stupidity. So they're probably just out of the game. So, yeah, I think Horst is just going to not do that and instead move over here. He's going to move and then march. So, to there and then 2 inches this way. Because he is terrified of those rats who suddenly came from nowhere. Shooting, there is the Lead Belcher who is going to shoot at the Gutter Runners because they're more of a threat than Sneaky Rat is now that he's let off his Doom Rocket, which I also think I got slightly wrong. Like, I reread the rules after I did it. It's been a month, you know. And I think when you use the Doom Rocket, you roll the range and then it has to go the range you roll. And that's why it doesn't scatter, because it goes essentially a random distance within the thing you choose. So I think you roll the range and then you decide where you want it to hit, rather than aiming for a thing and then needing to roll to that amount. It's unclearly written. I did it my interpretation before, and I may have changed my interpretation. Let me know what you think in the comments. But the one lead belcher has d6 shots. 1. Easily within half range, and it's still a 1. He's just... At this point, the lead belcher's just slumming it. He's like, I've done my part. Don't need to do nothing more. Combat then. This may just be mopping up the last of the Skaven. So let's start off with the one against the outsider, because if he has no leadership, then the Skaven slaves will definitely flee. Eisenbert will challenge. The outsider will refuse. And while the Iron Blaster doesn't need to roll for fear, because both the Screaming Bell and the Iron Blaster do cause fear, Eisenbert's unit do. On an 8. They pass. Oh yeah, first of all, the impact hits from the Iron Blaster. So it inflicts d6 impact hits, a total of 5. And due to the high strength, it is very likely to wound. Oh, hang on, sorry. Do they need to be distributed? I don't know. The impact hits are distributed as per shooting, and when you're shooting at this unit, you choose whether you want to hit the bell or the unit. I guess the Iron Blast is going to go for the bell, because they're probably going to win this combat, and an Iron Blast has got a decent chance of damaging the bell. And when you're shooting at the bell, they're randomized between the bell on a 1 to 5 or the Grey Seer on a 6. Also, something I realised, again during the editing, is that I forgot that the Screaming Bell and Outsider have a ward save, which I don't believe I gave him. So when the Outsider took a wound, I've neglected to roll his 4+ ward save. So I will very quickly do that now, because it wouldn't have affected anything before now, and it may just save him the wound. It does. So he is actually on full wounds. But yes, rolling those 5, because I rolled the 5 wounds against the unit. I suppose I did roll them against the Storm Vermin, didn't I? Whatever, doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, so I rolled 1, 3, 3, 4, and 5, so they all hit the bell. None of them hit the Outsider. That's what I'm going to take that as, because, you know, a roll's a roll. Rolling to wound against the bell, 2 wounds. However, the bell also has the ward save, and both are saved. I love the Screaming Bell, it's so cool. So yeah, the bell is absolutely fine for being hit by a giant cannon on a Rynos. So first of all, it is the Outsider who can't strike, the Storm Vermin and Eisenbert striking at the same time. So I'll do Eisenbert, 2 hit, double 1, no wounds at all. 5 Storm Vermin against Halberdiers, 4, +1 strength from the Halberds. Only 1, that's really bad. 4 Storm Vermin against the Iron Blaster. 3, very low chance to hurt it. Bloody hell, gets 2 wounds anyway. Armor save. Fails 1, passes the other, so the Iron Blaster takes 1 wound. Next it is the Rat Ogre ringing the bell against the Iron Blaster. 1 hit, no wound. Because of the champion, 10 Halberdiers against Storm Vermin. 5, +1 strength from the Halberds. 2, minor armor save, none. And the Iron Blaster has a total of 7 attacks, 3 from the Rynos pulling it, 3 from the Lead Belcher crewing it, and 1 from a Noblar who just happens to be hanging on. First of all, the Noblar against Storm Vermin, miss. Now the Rynos against, because I can split it, against the Screaming Bell, 1, no wound. And the Lead Belcher against the Storm Vermin, 2, 1 wound. Armor save, failed. So that is 1 more Storm Vermin dead. The Halberdiers get 3 for rank. However, they are disrupting, because they are a unit of 2 or more ranks of 5 models. They are disrupting the Storm Vermin, so they do not get any rank bonus. There's 1 for the banner, 1 for Eisenbert. They have 1 for the banner. However, the Storm Vermin lose by 7. Then again, they are unbreakable, so it doesn't matter. I don't think it is worth trying to turn so that they're not disrupted. So combat reform from defeat. So they do still test using the difference, so they're testing on a double 1 to try and do a combat reform. They fail. I don't think I agree that an unbreakable unit, which essentially has unlimited leadership, does still have to test like that. I don't know. Maybe the idea is that they're so, like, I don't know, fixed in place that they can't be shifted one way or another even if you want them to. So, anyway, next fight is the bulls versus the slaves. There are only 3 slaves left, so they strike first. Test for fear on the outsider's 7. Pass. 1 hit. No wound. I didn't expect much. And now 10 Ogre Bull attacks because of the champion against 3 Skaven slaves. 7. Yeah, that's them wiped out. It was a pipe dream that they could survive another turn, wasn't it? So they are immediately moving to occupy the magical anomaly, and if the game ends while they are in there, they count as winning. And then the final fight is the Clanrats versus the Iron Guts, and the Iron Guts get impact hits. They add their rank bonus to the strength, so they have 3 impact hits at +1 strength as they have a whole second rank. Strength 5 impact hits, causing 3 wounds. And at that strength, there is no armor save. However, Caster is not actually in the fight, because of the way they're positioned, and the Clanrats go first. So 9 Clanrats. Oh, I do have to test them for fear. They are beyond the range of the outsider, so they are testing on their own 5, which they fail. So they have 1 weapon skill for this round. They're all dead. 2 hits. No wounds. And now a total of 19 Iron Guts attacks, because supporting monstrous infantry can contribute up to 3. 14. They're wielding great weapons, so... oh god. Yep, so they're definitely going to kill all 9 of them. They killed all 9 of them. 14 wounds. This army was so good at one point. And they are going to reform from victory to face that way. Because that's secured, that's locked down, Zocket exists still. And as turn 4 comes to an end, we roll to see whether the game ends now. We roll a d6 and then we add it to the turn number, so a 4, and if the result is a 10 or higher, the game ends. So if this is a 6, it is over. It is not, the game goes on for another turn, as we go into Deathtoll Turn 5. First of all, we find out if the Rat Ogres are stupid. Leadership test on their 5, which they pass. Oh, they pass. Oh, okay. They reform. They're still not going to be able to contribute much, but that's a step in the... well, it's a turn in the right direction. Ooh, and I forgot the Sneaky Infiltrators. As they failed the first 2 rolls, they now have a +2, meaning they arrive on a 2+. They arrive! Where the hell would be a good place for them to arrive? I need to retake this, but that's just not going to happen. The only units that can are the Rat Ogres and the Storm Vermin. Storm Vermin's locked down and the Rat Ogres are stupid. So I guess I'm going to bring them in. I could bring them in here to attack the handgunners, or I could bring them in here to try and take the anomaly. They're going to fail, but they need to try. Because if they want to blow this place up, and they do, then they're going to have to try and take back the bomb. And I think the Gutter Runners are going to try and charge Helmets. They should have done that before the Rat Ogres, but whatever. So they need a 2, because, yeah, so they are going to just charge round and then move in. So I need to switch them out for the tight formation, like so. So they are now in combat. They could, yeah, they definitely would have had the movement to go around that. I mean, I'll just roll it just to check. If it's a double 1, I might have to measure. Nope, easily had the movement to go around. Sneaky Rat, having seen a tiny bit of, like, a gun barrel pop out of the side of this, he is going to just move away as quickly as he can. So he's going to move 5 inches. He's then going to test for leadership, and he's going to try and keep moving away, because he has seen this lone guy over here who he might have a chance at biting the ankles off. Sneaky Rat is within the range of the outsider, so he is testing on a 7 to march. and fails. Oh no, the gutter runners only needed a 1 because they have a movement of 6. So yes, these ones are also moving up 6 inches to there. They will also try and march. They are within 8 inches as well, but they're also within the outsider's range as well, so they are testing on a 7, which they fail. And Zocket has a choice to make here. I think Zocket is going to exit the building, because he's like, they're definitely gearing up to charge the building. So Zocket is going to step out of the building here, so he's placed there. And I don't actually know the rules about abandoning a building voluntarily. It is placed an inch away and cannot move any further. So he's definitely safe from being charged. He's probably safe from being... He's going to stand over here instead. So he's going to exit from this point instead. So yeah, he's going to stop there. He can't move any further. And I don't believe he can turn. He has to have his in any desired format. So yeah, as long as the rear rank is an inch away, he can be placed facing this direction. So he will be able to still use magic on them. Speaking of which, magic 8. The outsider will start with a Cloud of Corruption on 4 dice. Ooh, that's a pretty good roll. 18, 22 with his level. They can only realistically dispel 1. And what else could he do? Plague is no use. We're probably going to get a Warp Lightning. Yeah, I'm going to try and dispel that with everything. So 22. Total of 18 failed to dispel. A d6 for every unit, friend or foe, within 12 inches of the outsider, even if they're in close combat. And enemy units on a 2+, friendly units on a 4+. And yeah, let's hopefully it's going to do better this time. Hopefully it will not kill off everything that matters nearby. Sneaky Rat might be screwed, but the outsider could not care less about Sneaky Rat. So first of all, we'll do the Storm Vermin. Safe. Sorry, that should have been a 4+. Not safe. Hurt. They take 5 hits. Wow, only 2 wounds. No armor save, but they have the magical anomaly ward save. 1 pass, so only 1 dead. That is actually a much better result than I expected. Halberdiers. Affected. They take 6. 5 wounds. Wow, all of them fail. 3 1s. So that's 5 halberdiers die to the Cloud of Corruption. Handgunners. Affected. 4. 3 wounds. And they are outside, so they get no saves whatsoever. So 3 handgunners dead. That is over a quarter, so they have to test for running away. And they are... they're outside of Helmet's range, but they are within the bearer. So, are they within 3 inches? They're not quite within 3 inches of their parent unit. So they are testing on their own. 7 with a reroll. They fail. And the reroll, they fail. So they do flee. And they flee 3 inches. Directly away from the nearest enemy unit, or the source of the damage, which either way is this way. Lead Belcher. Affected. 2 hits. 1 wound. No armor. They are beyond the range. Even the building is pretty much completely beyond the range. So that is just 1 wound. Gutter Runners. Not affected. Helmet. Affected. 2. 2 wound. He's within the range, giving him a pretty good ward save, which he fails both. Helmet dies to the Cloud of Corruption. His luck just ran out all at once. Oh, poor Helmet. That is pretty bad. He doesn't have any friendlies within 6 inches who aren't in combat, so yeah, wow. Okay, Helmet's dead. Iron Blaster. Affected. 5 hits. 2 wounds within range, so he gets a ward save. Fails 1, so takes a wound. Has 3 wounds remaining. Sneaky Rat. Affected. 4 is probably dead. 4 wounds. Is not within range. Sneaky Rat also dies to the Cloud of Corruption. The outsider, like I said, could not care less. Gutter Runners are out of range. Horst is out of range. Ogre Bulls. Affected. 3. Only 1 wound. Ward save. Failed. But that is enough to kill one of the ogres. However, that is not 25% of their unit, and therefore they do not panic. Iron Guts. Affected. 4 hit. 2 wounds, that's pretty poor. 1 save, 1 wound. And that is also enough to kill an Iron Gut, but again, not quite 25%. Alright, that was a much, much better casting. Like, the Outsider has pretty much gone all in on just, yeah, why not? I'm just going to cast the most destructive magic I can and try and kill as many things as possible. That's also a Law of Plague spell, which means every enemy unit within 6 inches has -1 initiative, so Eisenbert will strike after the Storm Vermin. Next, the Outsider is going to cast Scorch, and normally direct damage spells have to be within the front arc. However, a bonus of being on the bell is above the masses, which means that the Outsider can cast spells in a 360-degree arc. So he's going to aim it at the magical anomaly. He doesn't really care that there is a bomb under this building. He is going to do a fire blast right in the middle of it anyway, because worst comes to worst, the entire thing blows up. He doesn't care. 3 dice on this. He needs a total of 6 because he's already adding 4. Yep, easily gets it. They have no way to dispel, so that's cast. Scatters d6 inches, which is 3 inches. Direct hit doesn't scatter. So it hits this building, and when a template hits a building, it does d6 hits. So that's why he didn't upcast it, because upcasting doesn't change the strength of the hits, only the size of the template, and increases the scatter. So they take d6 hits, which is 2, at strength 4, which is 1 wound. They get the ward save from the magical anomaly, which they pass. Damn, that was his chance, because if they'd fled, you see, it could have caused a panic test and they could have had to abandon the building. That was why he did that. Yeah, in for a penny. Let's do an upcast Warp Lightning with Zocket at the magical anomaly. So he needs a 12. I noticed during editing that I used 4 dice to cast Cloud of Corruption, but only knocked 2 off, and that's why I go into -2. Just thought I'd let you know that I caught that during editing. Completely missed that while recording. Apologies. Minus is 2 for level, so he needs a 10 on 3 dice. It is just over 50% chance of getting that. So come on. He just gets it. He gets a 10 plus his 2 is a 12. Again, they can't dispel, so it does 2d6 hits. 8 hits, that's more like it. It's also slightly higher strength. So 6 wounds. Ward save for the anomaly. 1 pass, 5 fails. That is more like it, so that is just 5 wounds on this unit, so that's 1 gone, and 2 more off that. However, that is not quite 25%. That's the thing with ogres, you see. They are, because there's so much contained into so few models, and all the other rules still apply, so they're sort of an anomaly in these things, in that you can do like 5 wounds and 1 model gets removed. And it really messes with the whole like taking out 25% thing, because that would normally be 5 models, that would be a whole rank, and here it is a third of a rank, I forgot to ring the bell again, but I'm going to do that now. I should do it straight after the stuff, but 13. A Stirring Beyond the Veil. All enemy units within 24 inches take D3 strength 4 hits as from shooting. And if the unit is in combat, which it is, they can make all of their supporting attacks. So the only difference that makes is 2 additional Storm Vermin attacks against the Iron Blaster. But that is still very nice. So all enemy units within 24 inches take D3 strength 4 hits. This is a long magic phase. So Halberdiers, 3, 2 wounds, and I am unclear whether they should get the magical anomaly protection against this, because technically the Screaming Bell, this is sort of a magical effect, but rules as written, it protects against wounds from spells. This is not a spell, bound or otherwise. I did determine that the magical anomaly itself was immune to the Screaming Bell, but I don't know. I don't know that should count for this, like for everybody else. I think the anomaly itself has additional protection. It is basically an indestructible building at this point, whereas the others just get a measure of protection. So I'm going to say, based on rules as written, that they should not get the protection, because frankly magical resistance in 8th edition is poor. It should give them protection against the effects of spells, not just wounds caused by it, but this is how it works. Maybe I'll homebrew that in the future. But anyway, so they get no saves against that, but they do get an armor save. No, they don't have shields, so that's just 2 of them dead. Handgunners take 3. 2 wounds. Lead Belcher takes 3. 1 wound. Still alive. Just think how much more damaging this would have been without the magical anomaly. Iron Blaster takes 1. Nothing. Horst takes 1. Wound. Killing him. Because he doesn't have the protection. Ogre Bulls. Alright, I think this is a bit out there. I think the Ogre Bulls should be immune to this. I'm a bit on the fence about being like, oh yes, actually the anomaly is immune to the bell, but its effects do not protect, But I think the unit that's inside the building should be immune. It just makes sense to me. So, although I would love to try and chip away these, yeah, logic tells me that they should be immune to this. So in fact, that roll is for the Iron Guts, so that's 2 on the Iron Guts. Nothing. Right, that was a very long magic phase. Apologies, those effects where you have to test every single thing within range take ages to do. No shooting because neither gutter runners can shoot. So we just have this combat in the middle, and again, Eisenbert will challenge and the outsider will refuse. 4 Storm Vermin against the Halberdiers. 3, +1 strength from the halberd, 2 wounds, no armor. Because of Stirring in the Veil, all 6 Storm Vermin can attack the Iron Blaster. 4, 1 wound, failed. The Iron Blaster is now down to 2 wounds. Also, I should have tested Fear for Eisenbert's units. I'll do that now. On an 8, with a reroll, fail, and the reroll, pass. Now it is Eisenbert at the same time as the Ogre ringing the bell, so I'll do the Ogre against the Iron Blaster first. 2 wounds. They do get an armor save, but they both fail. The Iron Blaster is destroyed by the Ogre, as it just sort of hops down off the thing very briefly to just smash it apart and hop back up. Eisenbert against Storm Vermin. 1. No wound, come on. He's just astounded at what he just saw, I guess. 10 Halberdiers against Storm Vermin. 2. Both failed. I have to assume that's not them reacting to the Iron Blaster. I think that's the Stirring in the Veil. I think they just feel this like scrabbling in their mind. The squeaking in the walls, the rats in the walls, but they're in their heads. There are rats in the ruins. They're everywhere. We're surrounded. And they're just freaking out a bit. So the Halberdiers get 1 for their rank. The Storm Vermin are still disrupted because they do have 10 here. And they get 1 for their banner, 1 for their battle standard, 1 for their banner. The Skaven win by 2. And with the general gone, they're testing on Eisenbert's 8 minus the... Oh no, they're not steadfast. They don't have more ranks. So they are testing on a -2. So on a 6 with a reroll, they pass. However, this does allow the Storm Vermin to pivot. The thing is, the Storm Vermin, the outsider is aware they cannot retake this. Only the ogres have a chance at retaking this, and there is still the Iron Guts in the way. These can't actually take the building because the outsider's bell can't go into the building, and the Storm Vermin can't leave the bell. So this unit cannot actually hold the objective. So these 2 can, this one can, but this one's the only one that stands a chance at actually taking it. And we go into Alliance, turn 5. Well, Caster doesn't really know what to do here. The guy was planning to charge has just sort of fled the building and is now really out of the way. So I think they are going to... Yeah, they're going to focus on keeping their bulls in the anomaly, and therefore they're going to try and intercept the rat ogres. So they're going to attempt a quick reform as they have a musician. So they have to take a leadership test on casters 8, 9? What's casters leadership? 9. So on 9 they can, they can't. So they can reform, but they cannot then move. So they are just going to reform to there. Oh, and the halberdiers, so they are still just within range of the battle standard bearer. So on a 7, see if they rally with a reroll, which they do need, and they do rally. So they turn on the spot. No magic, so shooting the lead belcher. Yeah, he's going to take pot shots at the gutter runners because he's a bit bored. So he takes D6 shots, which is 2. He's only a little bored. Both hit, though. 1 wound. Ward save from dodging, which they fail, so 1 gutter runner dies. Not quite a quarter. And combat, this is now really heating up. Eisenbert's going to challenge. It's going to be refused. He has to do it. They are they still affected by Plague Rash until the caster's next magic phase? So yes, they are. So Eisenbert still has -1 initiative, meaning the Storm Vermin go first. 4 Storm Vermin against the Halberdiers, because these two can only hit Eisenbert. Testing fear on Eisenbert's 8. Pass. Storm Vermin against Halberdiers. Wow, only 2. No wounds at all. 2 Storm Vermin against Eisenbert. Hits. 1 wound. Saved armor. Eisenbert against Storm Vermin. 3. 2 wound. 1 saved. Rat Ogre Ringer. 1. 1 wound. No armor save allowed due to the high strength. That was horrendously poor. And then 10 Halberdier attacks back because of the champion. Oh, sorry, these 4 have to go against the bell, so 5 against the unit, 5 against the bell. Against the Storm Vermin, bloody 1. Everybody's messed up. Wound, not saved. Because the outsider refused to challenge, he cannot be targeted, so all 5 have to target the bell itself. 3 hit. 1 wound. Not saved by the ward. So they do actually inflict a wound on the bell itself. Skaven get 1 for the banner, and if the Screaming Bell was the equivalent number of models, that would actually fill out this rank and then be an entire additional rank. So they get 3 for ranks. Whereas Eisenbert's unit get 1 for rank, 1 for the banner, 1 for the battle standard, so they do still win. Not that it really matters, because they are unbreakable. And now to see if the game ends. This time it ends on a 5+. It does not. We go on to turn 6 with Deathtoll. First of all, testing the Rat Ogre's stupidity on a 5. They fail, so they move D6 inches forwards. They're my best chance of retaking the objective, just to remind you. So they move to there. Yay, 3 inches closer. 12 inches to the building. They would only need a 6 to charge it, but they would not win a fight. I kind of wish I could combine units. I'd love to combine these two, because between them they'd get the 10 attacks, the 10 models to attack. But otherwise, you know, it's just going to be 6 against bloody 3 ogres, and they just flatly wouldn't stand a chance. So they're going to move 6 inches up. They are now within range to do a shooting attack. Hang on, is this on? No, it's on edge. And these guys are going to rotate once and then move 5 inches up, so that they are also within range to do shooting attacks against the anomaly. Zocket is going to stay where he is because he is nice and safe there. Magic. Hopefully this magic phase is quicker. It is going to be much quicker. 3. Ringing the bell. 14. Wall of Unholy Sound. All friendly models within 12 inches gain +1 attack until the end of the player turn. And normally you test to see if buildings collapse, but they don't. So all friendly models within 12 inches, the only ones it's actually going to affect are the Storm Vermin. So the choice here is, do I do a Warp Lightning, which has a chance of doing up to 12 hits on this, or do I do another Cloud of Corruption that could do damage to all of these little units? but I feel like there's a very good chance it could just wipe out my units. I think I'll go with Warp Lightning because 2d6 hits is better than the d6 hits. This is the only thing that really matters, so if we can shift them this turn and the Gutter Runners can move in next turn, that is the best chance the Skaven have of actually reclaiming the objective, so I'll do that. So Zocket is going to use all 3 dice on a Warp Lightning upcast, so he needs a total of 10, which he gets with a total of 14, including his level. They're going to use both dice to try and dispel. They need a double 6, which they don't get, so the die cast... I'm getting excited. The spell casts 2d6 hits, 5. Only 3 wounds, and they get a ward save from the magical anomaly, which bloody 2 of them pass. Does still kill 1, but there are actually now 4 models. That was the 5th model, so that is not the 25% to trigger panic. Shooting. The Gutter Runners are all going to use their throwing weapons at the magical anomaly. So they're all at long range. But these 4 are all within range, but only the front row of these are. So I'll do them all together as they're all the same. So that is 7 throwing weapon attacks at long range. They are quick to fire, which means they do not get a penalty for moving. 3 hit. Oh no, they get a penalty for his cover. So actually only 2 hit. So they got... Oh no, they got no wounds when I rolled 3, so yeah. I can't use either of those because they got no wounds when I rolled more dice. So yeah, that is nothing. And combat. Eisenbert now is no longer affected by the Plague Rash, so he strikes at the same time as the Storm Vermin. He challenges, refused. So the I'll do Eisenbert first. 2. 1 wound. Not saved. 4 Storm Vermin against the Halberdiers, 2 against Eisenbert. So the 2 against Eisenbert first. Forgot to roll his fear check, which he fails, and the reroll, he passes. So we're all good. Against Eisenbert, 1, no wound. Against the Halberdiers, 3. 3 wounds, no armor. That is more like it. Rat Ogre against the Halberdiers, 2. Only 1 wound, no armor. 4 Halberdiers against the Storm Vermin, 3 attacks against the Screaming Bell. So 4 against the Vermin first. 3. 2 wound, no saves. Because the champion 3 attacks against the Screaming Bell, 1 hit, no wound. If the Screaming Bell were models, it would fill this rank and this rank, but not quite the next one. So they have +2 for rank. They get 1 for the banner. They have none for rank, 1 for their banner, 1 for their battle standard. So the Halberdiers lose by 2. So they are testing on Eisenbert's 3, and actually I remember he gets a break test. He gets +1 for the break test, +1 dice for the break test, which again I think I forgot last time. But anyway, so they are testing on -2, so they're testing on a 6 with a reroll. They fail the first roll. They pass the second with the 2 and the 3. Oh, I forgot they get +1 attack. Sorry, I forgot the Skaven have +1 attack. So that's 2 additional Storm Vermin attacks against the Halberdiers. 1 wound, no armor. 1 more against Eisenbert, hit, no wound. 1 more for the Rat Ogre, miss. So the difference is 1 extra combat resolution. So they're actually testing on a 5, which they do still pass because they got a 2 and a 3. Ooh, that was close. If they'd got 1 more wound from that, the Halberdiers would have broken. Alliance, turn 6. The Bulls are just going to stay there. The Handgunners, they do actually have a line of sight on some Gutter Runners over there, so they're going to stay where they are. Lead Belcher's also going to stay. They are 13 away, so if they can get a 7, they can charge the Rat Ogres. So they're going to try that, because if the Rat Ogres are the only real threat. They get 8. So they succeed in the charge, but they don't get the bonus for Ogre Charge. No magic, so shooting. The Handgunners are going to shoot at the Gutter Runners. How many can see? 3. I mean, they're at long range. 4. Yeah, I'd say all 5 can see a Gutter Runner in that unit to shoot. Due to long range and the fact that they're shooting skirmishers, they have a very low chance to hit. 1 hit. no wound. Lead Belcher shooting the same unit, 3, 2 hits, 2 wounds, none dodged. So that is 2 wounds of them. So they have to take a panic test, as they have now been depleted by 25%. They're within range of the outsider, so they're testing on his 7, which they fail. So they then flee 7 inches plus, and I sometimes forget this, +1, because scurry away means they add 1 to their flee distance. So they are fleeing 8 inches this way, which is through that unit, so to there, and I am going to lower them, because I have learned magic tricks. Oh, that didn't work. Hang on. Because I have learned magic tricks. Nope. Okay, my magic tricks don't work. I was hoping to lower it, but it seems you can only lower a single object at a time, and it doesn't take the models with it. I have learned magic tricks. That goes to the floor, and then the models... Nope, it came back up. Whatever. I tried. There. That'll do. Anyway, these gutter runners test also on a 7. See if they panic from having an enemy flee through. They do not. They are completely steadfast. Combat will start with this one. So this is, again, Eisenbert challenges, refused, and Eisenbert and the Storm Vermin strike at the same time. Eisenbert testing on a 7 for fear, passes. Eisenbert's attacks, 3 wounds, none saved, so that is 3 Storm Vermin, though they do still get to attack. So that was 4 Storm Vermin against Halberdiers, 2 wounds, no armor, and 1 against Eisenbert. Hit, wound, failed his armor save, so Eisenbert actually takes a wound from the Storm Vermin as it dies. Rat Ogre against Halberdiers, 1, no wound, come on. Okay, and then 1 Halberdier against Storm Vermin and 3 attacks against the outsider, or the Bell. Against the Vermin, nothing. And against the Bell, 3, 2 wounds, ward save, save 1, failed 1. So they actually do inflict another wound against the Bell. The Halberdiers get 1 for the banner, 1 for the battle standard. Storm Vermin get 1 for the banner. And if this were models, that would be 14 Storm Vermin. As I did have them 6 models wide, I guess they would have to keep that up, which would mean 2 ranks. So they get 1 for rank. So the Storm Vermin lose by 1. But they're unbreakable, so it doesn't matter. Down here, the Rat Ogres versus the Iron Guts and Caster. So, first of all, impact hits. They have 3 impact hits with no pluses because they don't have any additional ranks. So 3 impact hits at strength 4. 2 wound. No saves of any kind. So that is 1 Rat Ogre dead before they've even done anything. Caster strikes at the same time as the Rat Ogre champion. Any challenges? Yeah, the Iron Guts champion is going to challenge, which the Rat Ogre champion has to accept because there is nowhere else for him to go. So the Rat Ogre champion versus the Iron Guts champion. The Rat Ogres do still have Frenzy, so +1 attack. Bloody only 3 hits. Oh, 1 wound. No armor at that strength. So the champion, but the champion is still alive. Literally 1 more wound and they would have won the challenge. But now, the ogre is probably gonna kill him. 3 hit. Only 2 wounds. Huh. So, the Rat Ogre champion is still alive. Next, we do have to test for fear, because although the unit causes fear, Caster is not immune to it, but he passes anyway. So I decided that I ignore challenges and I just allow him to strike against the unit in this case. So Caster goes at the same time as the Rat Ogres. I'll do the Rat Ogres first against the Iron Guts. They have Frenzy as well, so they both get an additional attack. 4 hit, 3 wounds. At that strength, no armor, so that is just 1 Iron Gut dead. Caster against the Rat Ogres. Bloody no hits whatsoever. And then 9 Iron Guts attacks against the Rat Ogres. None. 0 hits. Wow, that is astoundingly bad. Okay, well, the Rat Ogres get no bonuses. The Iron Guts get 1 for the banner. So the Iron Guts win by 2. The Rat Ogres are testing on a 3. So they definitely fail. They then flee 4 inches. And I have to check if they have Scurry Away. Yeah, it seems that the whole unit has Scurry Away. So they effectively have a 5 and they are pursued 4. So the Scurry Away saves them. So they move to there. Ignore the Iron Guts. And they pursue 4. I mean, they have to stop an inch away because that's how it works. So, yeah. They stop there. And Zockid is within range, so Zockid has to test on his leadership, which is an almighty 5. He obviously fails and then flees, well, not very far, 2 + 1 for the Scurry Away, so he actually just moves 3 inches this way. And at the end of the turn, we roll to see if the game ends. And you see, if it doesn't, it can go into like as much as 9 turns, I guess. So this time it ends on a 4+. It does not. We go into Deathtoll Turn 7. No charges, so instead we'll just do all the fleeing stuff. Gutter Runners testing on the Outsiders 7. Fail. They proceed to flee. Another 8 inches to there. Rat Ogres testing on their own 5. They fail. They proceed to flee. Another 6 inches to there. And again, ignore that I took them, the ogres with me. Zockit testing on a 5. Fails. Proceeds to flee 9 inches to there. It's a miracle they're still all on the bloody board. And the last move is these guys are going to move that much closer. So they're just outside of charging, and they're all within short range for their throwing weapons. Magic. Ooh, 11. You know what I forgot to do when I rolled the 3 on the previous one? I forgot to channel, but channeling 1 because Zoki can't channel, he's fleeing. So none for the Skaven, and yeah, none for the Empire as they have no wizards left. The Outsider is going to start off with another Scorch, because I think that worked rather well last time. So let's go with 4 dice. Needs a 10. Gets it. Total of 19 with his level. What else could he do? Probably a Cloud of Corruption is the other thing. But that is just as likely to backfire and less likely to clear the bulls. So yeah, he's going to put everything into dispelling that one. Which he does. Irresistible Dispelling. Next, a Cloud of Corruption on 4. Needs an 8 total. Gets it. No dice left to dispel, so Cloud of Corruption. I forgot to ring the bell. I'm going to ring the bell first, because that should happen first, and then Cloud of Corruption. So I'm going to put that there so that I don't forget I've cast it. Ringing the bell with 3. Ooh, 5. Emboldened. All friendly Skaven within 24 can reroll failed leadership until the end of the turn. Okay, that doesn't help. Everybody rolled their bloody failed things, already failed, whatever. Sure. Back to Cloud of Corruption. Storm Vermin. Affected. They take 4. Due to how few models are left, 2 of them are on the Storm Vermin, 2 are going to hit the Screaming Bell. Storm Vermin. 2 wounds. Ward save from the thing. 1 pass, 1 fail. Oh no. I mean, like I said, I do keep saying it, the Outsider could not care less about the lives of any Skaven he's ever met. 2 on the bell. 1. But the Screaming Bell itself is practically immune to magic. It has a 4+ ward save, 2 magic resistance, so it gets a 2+ ward save. Pass. Halberdiers. Affected. 2 hit. They're all going on ordinary Halberdiers. 2 wound. 1 saved by the anomaly. 1 dead. There goes the musician. Handgunners are out of range. Lead Belcher. Affected. 4 hit. 3 wound. Out of the range, so the Lead Belcher is dead. Gutter Runners. Affected. 2 hit. 1 wound. They are within range. They already have a 6+ ward save, increased by 2. So yeah, they can dodge the Cloud of Corruption. So they that is increased to a 4+. Passes. He manages to jump over the cloud of corruption. More likely sort of duck under it. It is a cloud. Those gutter runners are out of range, so the ogre bulls. Affected. 2. Come on. 1 wound. Passes its frickin' ward save. They're the reason I cast the spell. Whatever. Because that was successfully cast, Eisenbert has 1 less initiative. Now I have a choice here. There are 2 possible spells I could cast. I could either cast Plague or Pestilent Breath. Pestilent Breath would target this unit and decent chance of wiping them out. Plague would target this unit, unlikely to wipe them out, possible to kill one of them, could trigger a panic and cause them to flee. And if they flee the building, these guys will win, assuming that they're still there at the end of the next turn. So I think I'm going to have to do a Plague. So I'm going to use my last 3 dice and also the last warp token. Total of 19. I have to choose to use the warp token before I roll, so I can't change my mind. So 19, total of 22. Nothing to dispel that with, so Plague is cast at the Ogre Bulls. They have to take a toughness test, so there is the champion and there are 3 ordinary bulls. So if all 3 bulls fail, then they will have to take a panic. Champion passes. 3 ogres. 1 fails, so only one of them takes a wound. And now we see if it moves on. It does not. Shooting. 6 gutter runners shooting at the ogre bulls. They are all within short range. However, it counts as, I believe, hard cover, which I'm fairly sure I forgot to apply last time. Not that they did any damage. Still 3 hit. 2 wounds. And 1 failed save. So, bloody hell. Again, so close to causing a freaking panic test and failing. Oh, hang on. I forgot to give him his ward save against the plague. Yeah, he failed it. Okay. Combat. Eisenbert has 1 less initiative due to the plague rash, so the storm vermin go first against against Eisenbert. If I can kill him, that will be good. Miss. I can't, apparently. Eisenbert's 3 attacks against the last remaining storm vermin. 2 wound. And the last storm vermin is dead, but there is only 1, so they can't get overkill, because he's not a champion. So the rest of Eisenbert's wounds are ignored. And now the Rat Ogre versus the Halberdiers. Forgot to test Fear on 7. Fail with the reroll. Pass. Anyway. Rat Ogre. None. Halberdiers against the Bell. 1. No damage. They get 1 for the standard, 1 for the battle standard. And this thing still counts as 15 rats. So they get 1 rank, two ranks. So, I mean, they still lose. It doesn't matter. Even if it had counted as 3 ranks, which, they're going to try and reform from victory, because why bloody not? I don't even know if that's the thing that matters here. I don't know how it works with this. Like, how can you... I have to assume that it still counts. Whatever. I'm just rambling. Testing on a 7. Or 6. They failed. Alliance, turn 7. The Iron Guts are going to attempt a swift reform. So, testing on casters 9. They pass. This allows them to reform and then move. So they're going to reform to there and then move as close as they can this way without, they're not going to charge the gutter runners. Handgunners can't shoot, so they may as well move 4 inches forwards. They're then still over 8 inches away, so they're going to move another 4 in a march. No magic, no shooting, so it is just this combat. Again, Eisenbert challenges, refused. And now Eisenbert strikes at the same time as the Rat Ogre. Testing fear for Eisenbert. Passes. Eisenbert attacking the Bell. 3. No wounds. The Ogre is going to attack Eisenbert because I think that's the only thing holding the whole unit together. 1. Wound. If he fails this, he does fail it. And that's Eisenbert's last wound. So Eisenbert gets killed by the Rat Ogre. The same thing that destroyed the Iron Blaster just killed Eisenbert. And now the Halberdiers, 3 attacks against the Screaming Bell. 1. No damage. So they get 1 for their standard, and it is a draw. Oh no, it's not a draw, because this counts, now that I've reformed it, it's really odd. You know, does it count as a 3x5 thing? Or can I count it as like a 5x3 thing? And rules as written, I think I can class it as a 5x3, which would mean it has 3 ranks. Because it says count the Screaming Bell as the same number of Skaven that would normally occupy that space. So it doesn't say count it as if that space is occupied by rats. It says that would normally occupy that space, and it's 3x5. So I'm just going to say I can count it as a 5x3 unit, which means they get 3 ranks. Like, it seems like a bizarre loophole in the rules, and I might have to say no, I can't do that in the future, but it's like rules as written, you know? This match is really a weird match. So yes, they win. Halberdiers are testing on would be a 7 minus a 3, so testing on a 4. They fail. They flee 5 inches, and I don't know if the bell can actually follow them, because when it has 5 models or fewer pushing it, which it has none, it can't move. So I'm going to say no, it can't actually pursue them at all. So they move 4 inches to there, have to go beyond it. So they have now fled, and the handgunners have to check on a 7, which they pass, so they hold. And now it is the end of the 7th turn, so we roll a dice, and on a 3 or higher, the game ends. No, it's a 2. I mean, it's a cocked dice there, but the readout said 2, so the game goes on into Deathtoll Turn 8. The only movement is the fleeing things, so the gutter runners on a 7 fail. They flee 9 inches. They both go through that unit, so they both count as having gone through dangerous terrain. 1 dies from that. The Rat Ogres on a 5. They fail. They proceed to flee 10 inches off the board. The Rat Ogres are gone. Zocket on a 5. Fails. Flees 3 inches. Somehow still on the board. Gutter runners are moving. Outsider can't move. Magic 5. Let's go with a Scorch. So he needs a 10. Minus his level, he needs a 6. So I'm going to use 3 dice on this. Total of 15. 3 dice to try and dispel that. Oh, a 12. Just 1 short. Well, actually 2 short. You need to beat it. But yeah, Scorch is cast. So casting it here. Scatters D6. 6 inches. Direct hit. Oh, if that had been anything other than a direct hit, it would probably not have hit the anomaly at all. So the anomaly, the unit inside takes D6 hits. 4. This could be it. They take 2 wounds. At strength 4, they get no armor save, but they do get the 5+ ward, which they both fail. Finally, we're getting somewhere. So that is 1 Ogre Bull dead and 1 more wound. That is 25% of the unit. They have to take a panic test. The building is within range of caster, so they are testing on his 9. So they pass. That was the one chance. The one chance of getting them out of that bloody building. Oh, interesting. I wish I had noticed this sooner. Scorch is a flaming attacks hit. And when a flaming attacks hit is done against someone in a building, you reroll failed to wound. I mean, it does say when shooting at or assaulting. Presumably magic is included in that? I don't know. Again, rules is written, no it isn't. But logic... No, rules is written, it isn't. Bloody bizarre. Like, it really should be. Like, flaming attacks should have an extra chance of wounding when you're using them against someone in a building. But rules is written, they don't, so I guess they don't. I don't know that I could cast a Cloud of Corruption on 2 dice and there's every chance that it could wipe out the gutter runners. I'm going to go with a Pestilent Breath. I will upcast it, so I need an 8 minus the level. I need a 4 on 2 dice, which I get. So this is a template weapon, and because of the above the masses, the outsider can do this in any direction, whereas normally direct damage has to be forwards. So I can just do it there, hit the building, and it does d6 hits, like the Scorch does. So it does 3 hits at strength 3 because it was upcast. So wounding on a 5. No wounds whatsoever. Shooting, all 6 gutter runners are going to shoot at this. They are all at short range now. However, it is still they were at short range last time. Anyway, yeah. So it's still hard fortifications, so only 2 hit. No wounds! Alliance, turn 8. Rattling through this. Halberdiers, they have been reduced to below a quarter of their starting number, which means they only reform on... oh, hang on. Standard is gone because they fled combat. Yeah, so the one guy left, he only rallies on a double 1. Nope, double 2 is not enough. So he flees a further 7 inches to there, but I'm just going to quickly swap him out for just the guy. Caster's unit are moving... Oh, actually, yeah, I should have done that first. They're going to try and charge, so they need a 6 to charge the gutter runners, which they don't get, so they only move 2 inches forwards. And they would have done a stand and shoot, but they've got to be within 6 inches, which they weren't. Actually, I don't think they could, because they're not in the front arc. And that's the end of the turn, because there's no combat. We are deliberately not engaging the Ogre Bulls in combat. The game ends on a 2+. It ends! Yay! This was a really weird fight. The outsider apparently has a completely uncaring attitude to his destructive magic. He does not care who dies to it. Even if the fact that he killed half of his army with bloody plagues means that the Ogre Bulls have been able to dismantle the bomb. Well, the ogres probably wouldn't, but when the Skaven come out of the basement, they just find a load of ogres there who beat them to death, at which point Caster can bring in some people who can dismantle the bomb. So, as the forces of Solland control the magical anomaly at the end of the game, they get +1 to their victory. Of the 178 Skaven who are defending the bomb, only 10 are still here. Of the 71 from Wissenland, only 6 are still here. And of the 29 from Caster and his mercenaries, only 8 are still here. With Dead or Fled scoring half destroyed units as worth half points, the Skaven scored 1,931.5 points. They also took out the General for 100, the Battle Standard Bearer for another 100, and 2 Siege Standards, giving them a total of 2,181.5 points. For Solland and Wissenland, for Dead or Fled, they scored 1,882, add in the Battle Standard Bearer and 2 Siege Standards, giving them a total of 2,032 points. In this shockingly close match where both sides were almost wiped out, there is a difference of 149.5 points in the Skaven's favour. That is still a draw, as they needed a difference of over 250 to score higher, and Solland and Wissenland scored the objective, meaning they increased theirs from a draw to a narrow victory. However, the Skaven are still on a draw. So that was the climactic final battle of round 5 of the campaign, and next time we'll be going back to the campaign map to be seeing how this affected things. I wonder how well the Skaven would have done if the plague hadn't wiped out literally half of their 2 massive units. That was both a misplay and horrendous bad luck. That is how Skaven plays, so you expect it. And as shown with stuff like Cloud of Corruption, when it goes well, they are phenomenally powerful, but it has a very high chance of going poorly. Maybe I should have put a stronger unit holding the objective. It turns out it was a lot harder to shift them than I thought, but I also had nothing to sort of move into to take it afterwards when they did inevitably leave. Still, let me know what you thought. Let me know if you have any tips of how I could play either army better. I think the Ogres performed really, really well. They were just a complete curveball to the Skaven. They just weren't ready for it. And we'll talk more about the fallout from this next time. So thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with more Mighty Empires soon, and I will catch you later.